it was on this day in 1994 that Ace of Base saw number one on the U.S. singles chart, and they stayed there for 6 weeks with that song right there called The Sign. On this March the 12th, back in 1994, 32 years ago, Ace of Base and The Sign, a number one hit in the U.S. It went to number two on the U.K. singles charts. A very good morning to you. It is the day before the weekend, or Friday Junior, as some like to call it. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for spending some of that valuable time of yours with us. It really does mean a lot, and I appreciate you making that time. I also appreciate Farwell's Force member number 377, Andy. Thanks for keeping an eye on the important things for us. Andy sends me an email to Mike at 570news.com. Guess what I saw playing on TV this afternoon? So on a March afternoon, Andy saw on TV the movie Die Hard. So Andy's email goes on to say, proof that it is indeed not a holiday movie. Because after all, why would you play a holiday movie in the middle of March? Thank you, Andy. Farwell's Force member number 377. If you're wondering, by the way, what this Farwell's Force member is all about, well, it's just the way we keep track of our force for good, our force for change, our force to be reckoned with here on the show. We call it Farwell's Force. If you listen for 15 minutes a day, any 15 minutes every day, then you too can be a Farwell's Force member in good standing. We will assign you a number as we continue to grow as that force for good and force for change and force to be reckoned with. We've got more than 350 members now. As you heard, Andy, number 377. Some people like to pick a number out of sequence. You do you. But if you want to be a member of Farwell's Force, just listen for 15 minutes every day. And if you're doing that, goodness gracious, please send me an email to Mike at 570news.com. I would be more than happy to add you to our growing force. Wasn't it kind of cute? Did you hear this? The news this morning? Justin Kohler was reporting on it. It's so cute that the city of Waterloo is declaring a community safety event on March the 17th. I mean, gosh, and I know, the city of Waterloo is also going to enforce its nuisance bylaw. Oh, gosh. This is going to stop 30,000 kids from taking over the streets in the University District. I know it is. It's just so cute, Waterloo. Good job. Can I please, do you want me to beg? Is that what you want me to do? Because I will beg. Here's me begging this morning, okay? I am begging you. Waterloo City of regional police, other emergency responders, please, I'm begging you, talk to the universities, particularly Wilfrid Laurier, because we know that's the epicenter of the party, and just say, you know what you got to do? You got to change Reading Week. Because you see, if Reading Week was next week when St. Paddy's Day falls, there aren't going to be any students at the school to have the party. Do you see how this works? And I know you're going to get some pushback on that. I know. Well, this doesn't really fit properly with the school calendar, and it's too close to exams, and the kids need the breaks earlier in the semester. To which you simply respond, I understand that, I hear you, but actions have consequences. And these students' actions are not in keeping with the spirit of our community and being good neighbors. So since they haven't gotten the message, we're going to have to move Reading Week. And you're going to have to make Reading Week the week of March 17th every year until they figure it out. And that's all we have to do. And you might think that'll never work, Farwell, but do you know what else hasn't worked? Everything else that we've tried at great cost to us. Why? Why? So please, I'm begging you, would you please just change Reading Week? And if it doesn't work, you can say, neener, Farwell, you were a dummy. We told you it wouldn't work. Okay, but at least we tried. And there is precisely zero cost to trying that. Zero. All you got to do is demand it of your neighbor. And I know I know that Wilfrid Laurier University is and wants to continue being a good neighbor in our community. Change reading week, you end the party. It is that easy. I'm begging you, Waterloo. I'm begging you, Regional Police Services Board. I hear it every year. All the concern, all the hand-wringing, all the planning, all the money spent. Just change reading week. Willie is with us on the phone this morning. Good morning, Willie.
Good morning, Mike. Force number 1701. How are you today?
Boy, I'm doing real well. How are you?
I am doing well, thank you. I had a thought as you were talking about this reading week thing.
Yes.
If I understand it right, the university, that's where all the smart people are, the professors, the chancellors, and like all the highly educated people, right?
I am led to believe the same, sir. Yes.
And they are the one teaching our kids, right?
Also true.
And they can't figure this out.
The smartest minds in Waterloo are yet to figure this out, Willie.
I think that's an interesting thought to think about, so.
Appreciate it, 1701. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Another Farwell's Force member posing a very interesting question for us this morning. By the way, I know we're into week 2 now of our new cart-based waste collection system. Received an email from my good buddy Dave this morning to Mike at 570news.com. He says, one of the reasons we had so many challenges last week is because everybody got black bin garbage collection. We haven't done that in years. Every person getting garbage collected on the same day. Surely that contributed to the bumps in the road and the length of time it took to get things collected. Fair point, for sure. I still think it was bumpier than it needed to be. But here's my favorite part of this week, because it's collection day in the Farwell neighborhood. And my beloved noticed last night, because, you put your stuff out the night before because it has to be out by 7 in the morning. And she noticed that our recycling bin had blown over, because these are these new, deeper, taller recycling bins. The wind can get a hold of them, So she fixed it because she's good that way. When I left for work this morning, at least half, if not more than half, of the recycling bins and even some green bins had been toppled by the wind. You see, they're a little bottom heavy, not top heavy. Anyway, the wind, such as it was overnight, has knocked the bins over. There is recycling up and down my street. And I'm just I was asking myself as I drove to work, I says to myself, who's going to clean that up? Because I'll bet you dollars to Ding Dang Donuts it's not going to be the person who already took it to the curb and left it there for collection. And then the bin got toppled over and it's just blowing all over the street now. And those green bins that also got knocked over, it's going to be hard for the mechanical arms to pick those up off the ground because they got blown over in the overnight hours with that stiff wind, which, by the way, shows no signs of letting up through the day. So we'll see how collection goes in our neighborhood today. Recycling everywhere. Green bins toppled. Dogs and cats living together. Oh, my goodness.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Hey, how about 5? I'll give you 5 on your Farwell Show 5 this Thursday morning, the 12th of March. Number 1, the city of Cambridge still plans to collect those big, soggy piles of leaves. You know, the annual curbside collection in Cambridge that got cut short in the fall when the snow started early. Can I beg again, please? Do you mind if I just beg once more, just a little bit? Can we please? I'm begging you. And not just Cambridge, every city in this region. Can you please stop allowing people to rake leaves to the curb and then sending heavy machinery out to pick up the leaves? We are capable of great things. We built a Canadarm. We put people into outer space. Take your pick of great things that we've accomplished. We can put leaves in bags. Dang it. We can put leaves in bags, because if we don't, this happens. Those leaves that have been buried under the snow for all these months, the city of Cambridge says it's planning to resume leaf collection on March the 30th. Number 2, a regional council has endorsed a proposal by Councillor Doug Craig to launch a third-party investigation into our water issues.
The water capacity crisis affecting the region of Waterloo has serious implications for housing growth, economic development, and long-term infrastructure planning. An independent review is necessary to determine how this situation developed and why early warning signs did not lead to earlier action or clearer reporting to Council. So the consequences of not doing a review, if the region does not examine how this water capacity crisis developed, several risks remain: loss of public confidence in regional infrastructure planning, unresolved governance issues, if Council does not understand fully why the warning signals were not communicated, economic and housing impacts as water constraints affect development approvals.
I like that idea from Regional Councillor Doug Craig. His fellow councillors liked it as well. The motion is endorsed and the investigation is supposed to be completed before the October election. Number 3 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, Arthur Street in Elmira is going to be repaved. Director of Infrastructure Jared Pape updated council on the plan this week with a caveat.
This is, we'll say, long overdue for the much maligned downtown of Elmira. It is acknowledged, though, that this does not meet the intent of the 2022 urban design study for the downtown core in Elmira. That streetscape plan envisioned the broader reconstruction and streetscape, and that is something that staff are still committed to. I think that's critically important. It's really a timing challenge, quite frankly, right now.
Think of that streetscape. Think of trees and planter boxes, a little beautification along Arthur Street. But Dana Costello, who's a member of Elmira's business improvement area, says the town's businesses can wait for the streetscaping if they can just get a smoother road.
The membership wants the road repaired, the sidewalks improved, and the downtown refreshed as fast and as soon as possible. They want to see Arthur Street in a condition that feels clean, welcoming, and reflective of the community that we all are trying to build. And if moving forward now means that we may not have the opportunity to install tree cells for another 15 to 20 years, that is a consequence the membership is willing to accept.
Arthur Street in Elmira right now is a bit of a throwback, isn't it? It's kind of a corduroy road when you try driving along it. So the repaving is on the way. Number 4 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, Canada's Natural Resources Minister says the country will do its part to lower the cost of oil globally. Tim Hodgson made the remark yesterday as the International Energy Agency agreed to release 400 million barrels of oil from member nation stockpiles to tame the surge in energy prices triggered by the Middle East war. And number 5 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, did Kitchener just make it to the big time? Well, Punky Doodle's Corners sure did, based on this clue last night on Jeopardy in the category Place Names.
Kitchener, Brantford, and the much more funnily named Punky Doodle's Corners are in this Canadian province. James.
What's Ontario?
Yes.
That's right, James. And James would go on to win his 4th straight game. Love the use of the word funly by Ken Jennings in describing Punky Doodle's Corners.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
And that is your Farwell Show 5 for this Thursday morning, the 12th of March. Our phone lines open the minute we begin the show every day. Jack is with us on those phone lines. Good morning, Jack.
Good morning, Mr. Farwell. It's Farwell Force number 209 calling in this morning.
Keep them coming. Another Farwell's Force member, Force for Good. Yes, sir, Jackson.
Listen, I think you owe Ms. Farwell a treat, okay? Aren't you up at the crack of dawn, even before the crack of dawn, to get your butt into work? Why is Ms. Farwell putting the garbage can out in the morning?
You know what? Fair comment by you, sir. Fair comment by you. And here's the thing. I've admitted this before. I am a very particular fellow, Jack. I things go...
I never would have guessed.
You wouldn't have, eh? Well, I'm telling you. Things need to go in the same order as often as possible. So I have a morning routine, and I'll be damned, Jack. I will be damned if that morning routine is upset by me having to take the garbage out in the morning. It goes out the night before. Sorry.
Listen, I think if the rest of us are expected to, I think you should too. I'm sorry, friend.
Well, no, listen, I take it out. I took it out last night. She noticed the problem with it and went out to remedy the problem. I almost always take it out. For sure. I just don't take it out morning of. I take it out night before. After I took it out last night, she realized, the wind knocked over our recycling bin. But I promise you, I take responsibility for getting that stuff to the curb.
Fair enough. All right, we won't split hairs about it. But yeah, I still think you were a treat for picking up all the detritus.
All right. You know what? That is an excellent point by you, and I will find one before I get home today.
Have a great day, Mike.
Thanks, Jack. Good to hear from you today. Hey, what did I say day one on this show? We will call one another on our crap. What kind of husband am I? Sitting there on my fat ass last night on the couch while my beloved goes outside into the freezing cold to deal with the toppled recycling bin. Not a very good husband at all. Jack is correct to call me on my crap. You want to call me for anything? Our phone lines are open. Your morning wake-up call is coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. This is the most interactive radio program you'll find anywhere in this region. And our phone lines open the minute the show begins every day at 519-570-2545, star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. Ron is with us this morning. Good morning, Ron. Farwell's Force, member number 32.
How you doing there? Mike? So you've been complaining constantly about the parties that go on, and I agree with you. They need to stop. And I have a solution. We call Toronto and we get their horse team to come out there. Their horse team is well known for trampling on people. And once you get trampled by a horse, you never want to get trampled again.
Ron, I don't think that's very kind of you. You don't want anybody to. It's like when we say, well, we should get water cannons out there. That'll teach them. We don't really want to trample people and or blast them with water cannons, do we?
Okay, well, think about it this way, okay? Every year at the CNE, back in the days of the 80s and early 90s, they used to use the horses. They would bring them out for the riot because kids would riot like crazy in the CNE. Their only plan of action was to bring out the horses and riot gear and have them trample on people, and then they would pull them aside and arrest them. I think this needs to be done, and once it's done, I doubt they're going to do it again.
Okay, listen, Ron, appreciate the suggestion. I would respectfully say I think my suggestion is not only easier, but it's less violent. I don't want anybody to get trampled. I just want the school to change reading week. That's all I want. That's all I ask for. And I might also take a little bit of umbrage with the idea that I'm complaining about the party. I've nary said a word other than, why do we keep talking about what we're going to do about it when year after year after year? I mean, last year we had a bloody injunction, a court-issued injunction, and the party still happened. So now we're saying we're going to enforce our bylaw and we've declared a community safety event. Good for us. Like, stop. I'm begging today. I'm begging you, Wilfrid Laurier University, change reading week. Barbara is with us on the phone. Good morning, Barbara.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Excellent.
Good.
I have a rave. I have fabulous news. Each of the City of Kitchener and the Region of Waterloo on their Facebook page have advised residents to look out for flooding, to check their sump pump, to clear the leaves from their catch basin in front of their house. You know this stuff I've been talking to you about for years and years, that the government, it's the municipality's job to do this public education. And both the City of Kitchener and the Region of Waterloo have notifications on Facebook about how to avoid flooding. Can you believe that?
It's fantastic, Barbara. You're getting through.
I am getting through. Well, not anyway. Maybe I won't have to be doing all this public education anymore. Not that I love doing it, but if the cities would actually do it themselves, because it's their job. But anyway, they're doing it now. So, hooray!
Hooray! Love to hear it. Thanks, Barb.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, enjoy your day. There you go. Watch for the flooding. If those catch basins aren't cleared now, you must be in Cambridge waiting for leaf collection, right? Because I started shoveling my catch basin out partway through this winter when we had a bit of a thaw, and I realized all the water pooling on the street. I'm like, what the what? And then you try to find that sucker. Who does it get buried? Anyway, so catch basins are all clear in the Farwell neighborhood, at least right now. I want to go to this email from Jim, who writes to Mike at 570news.com because, Jim, I love it. Like, bring me your concerns, okay? And we'll see if we can deal with them. Jim's email. So Barb just gave us a rave. Jim has a rant with multiple exclamation points. Okay, Jim writes to Mike at 570news.com. So everyone was to receive 2 blue bins. Bins were delivered, but not to everyone. In our case, the bins were being delivered to our street, but we were walking our dogs and saw the white truck delivering them to our street. Well, they skipped our neighbor's house and our house, but delivered across the street, plus the other side neighbors. I yelled at the gentleman removing them from the truck and delivering them and said, "What about our house?" He said our number was not on his list, but on another truck's list. That's odd, and it sounds expensive since coming back with a truck to deliver 2 bins. On the phone, waiting online for hours, only to be hung up on twice. One person says the bins will be delivered by another truck. Waterloo Region says to contact Miller Waste. Township of North Dumfries, that's Miller Waste's responsibility, and around we go. Today, we called Circular Materials twice. Both times waited hours, and then they hung up on their end. We called Miller Waste next, and finally they informed us we're not the only ones missing their blue bins, but there are thousands missing them. They didn't have enough blue bins on delivery week, so they skipped houses. They say now they will be delivered at some point, but there is no exact date or time. They also said if you want to, at your expense, you can drive to Eagle Street and pick them up yourself at the depot there. I give up. It's a total bleep up. Maybe your associates can dig into this mess and come up with an answer. Have a great day, Jim. Jim, thanks for bringing me your concerns. I'm here for it. I'm glad you were able to air that rant, get it off your chest and onto the air. And I will just say again this. First of all, it appears as though collection is going better so far this week. It started yesterday. I talked to friends who were on the schedule for pickup yesterday. Things seem to have gone on well. My main concern remains, and I mentioned this to some colleagues this morning when we were talking about the blown over blue bins and green bins and whatnot have you. It to me has become a problem that we didn't need to have because the system was working just fine the way it was. 2 weeks ago, we were all just doing our thing, taking our garbage and recycling and green bin to the curb, and it was getting picked up. And then for some reason, we thought, you know what? We're going to really mess with people. We're going to get used to this. We are. But it's been a frustrating couple of weeks. And I still want to know, when I go home later, is all that recycling going to be blowing around my neighborhood? I picked some up off my front lawn and put it in my blue bin this morning because my blue bin was still standing. These are the challenges now that we face. Let's get you an update from the 570 News Center, and then let's talk about scooters on our sidewalks. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
This is where today's topics turn into today's talking points. It's local and it's Democratic radio at its finest. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio.
The fact remains, pedestrians walk out of their house, they step onto transit, they walk into schools or businesses, or any brick and mortar location. Pedestrians are not going away. They are intrinsic to everything. This is precisely why our sidewalks and trails must be protected from the proliferation of electric vehicles. Placing rental scooters on sidewalks at transit intersections is irresponsible and contrary to bylaw. It sends signals to private scooter owners that sidewalks are their domain. These vehicles should not be on the trail. They should be on the road, following the Highway Traffic Act.
The Mike Farwell Show continues
on 570 News Radio.
That is Waterloo resident and former road cycle racer Arnold Radford at Regional Council earlier this week, or at a committee meeting, pleading his case again because it's not the first time that Mr. Radford has appeared before a committee of our Regional Council asking for change or action on the proliferation, in his words, of electric vehicles on our sidewalks. And Mr. Radford joins the show this morning. Arnold, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
Why are you so passionate about this? You were at council in the fall. You're back again here in the spring.
Well, Mike, just like you're passionate about it, we live in this region. We grew up in this region, and we don't like what we're seeing in this region across a number of files, but this especially puts people on their feet trying to enjoy their lives in peril.
What sorts of experiences have you had while you were out there on your feet trying to enjoy your life?
Well, I had a really, really great discussion yesterday with a business owner. I know Dave Adlis from the 70s when we were students, and hearing a business perspective of what he sees with these devices and what he experiences, and how he was shocked to learn from me that a scooter rider has to conform to rules. Otherwise, they don't receive the personal injury insurance that their ridership purchases. Dave was shocked to hear that there's no liability insurance involved, and we're all sitting ducks. When his customers leave his facility, they could be hit by a scooter, and there's no recourse. So we have a legal quagmire of what happens if you are injured, and why has this rolled out in this fashion?
What action would you like to see taken by our regional council?
Well, I gave another example of what I experienced as a driver following the rules of the road, traveling on Union near Belmont at the crossing area, the flashing lights that say stop for pedestrians, which are positive things in our community, and all of a sudden, an e-motorcycle and an orange e-scooter, they didn't stop to push a button. They just came right out into the intersection. It was a dangerous moment. A collision was averted, but it just adds another layer of legal problem and injury. And, of course, a pedestrian was struck by a car just, I believe it's 2 days ago or 1 day ago. So these are becoming almost daily incidents that are going to become daily injuries and potentially worse.
A pedestrian struck by a vehicle, but not an electric vehicle.
Yes. Obviously pedestrian safety is the underlying core with anything to do with how we travel. Pedestrians are being put in harm's way, and we need a reset of what's required for everyone to participate in a convention rules-based system of movement, because it's been sent awry and askew.
So again, I'll just come back to then what that reset looks like, Arnold. What would you like to see regional council specifically do in this instance?
We need to format our bylaws to actually have enforcement ability of protecting sidewalks and trails from motorized vehicles. The ability for someone to go out and enjoy themselves while walking, it's completely gone. They're having to turn, look, do everything to make sure nothing's coming up behind them. So we need some rules. We need these motorized vehicles. That's what they are. They need to be liability insurance driven. So they need to be on the road. They need to be using them in accordance with Road and Highway Traffic Act rules. Without that, it's chaos, as we know.
Do you get the sense through the presentations that you have made, because there have been more than one, or the letters that you have written to regional council, that there is any appetite to undertake this effort?
Well, my first opinion when I approached council on Tuesday, a lot of long and dejected looking faces. They look pretty worn with the number of files that are problematic for them. This file in particular is at the stage now where there are going to be problems. It's just a matter of how, when, where, and we know why, because there's no action being taken. There's no leadership.
Are you suggesting they have too many other big issues to deal with right now?
Well, I believe that that's the case, that this is probably thought of, oh, it's just, it's just pesky complaints. Whereas, really the formula is, if you make changes to an already working system, yeah, there's going to be problems if it's not thought out and if it's not properly set in motion. So we're experiencing that, and it seems to be a pattern that is obviously how this file is considered by our elected officials.
And just so I understand then, the system that you say is working, which system is that? Our existing system of bylaws that are enforced, or is the e-scooter program working in your opinion?
Oh, no, the e-scooter program is not working. When these devices were not laying on our sidewalks, walking and passing and enjoying life uptown, Kitchener, Cambridge, wherever you are in this region, it changed dramatically. Other jurisdictions, I get reports from people across the country, and I've said it before, Toronto seems to be the only jurisdiction that thought this out and do not allow scooters on public property. If you want to ride one, go ahead on your private property. And there are large fines if you start whipping around on a sidewalk on a scooter. We need that here.
Arnold, I appreciate the time on the show this morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Mike.
Arnold Radford, a Waterloo resident who has, on more than one occasion, approached our regional council and appealed for change, appealed for some form of reining in of the proliferation of vehicles powered by electric batteries on our streets. If you've listened to this show for more than 5 minutes, you likely know that I feel similarly. And I feel similarly primarily since these tiny electric vehicles. Remember, we had the conversation about this, and even our friends at Barrier Free Cambridge got involved in the conversation because there are these like little 2-seater vehicles, and I saw one the one day on my way down Sean's Hill and along Fountain Street onto King, going into the Preston part of Cambridge, and there was this little car on the bike lane or the multi-use trail there path along the side of King Street in Preston, and I'm like, what is this thing, and why is it there? Like it was fast moving, it was large, and there's just no good outcome for the operator of that vehicle and a pedestrian or somebody on a bicycle if they end up colliding with one another. There's just nothing good that comes of that. And so that really started me further down this path. And we learned that these vehicles were being sold as accessibility devices for those who needed assistance, like a motorized or electric wheelchair, but it's an enclosed vehicle. It moves a heck of a lot faster than a wheelchair would. Nonetheless, that's how they were being sold. And then you realize that they are under or outside of any existing motor vehicle regulation. And I'm like, okay, hang on a second here. Like, let's just pump our brakes. And I believe anything that comes with one of these lithium-ion batteries in it needs to be regulated because they move too quickly, and I'm not sure that every user, and I'm sorry if you are among the dozens and dozens or hundreds of responsible users of these devices, but not everybody can control that speed. Do you remember the video that surfaced of somebody on an e-scooter, like just the scooter, like the childlike scooter on our expressway, zipping along the one day? Like, this is the stuff that's out there. So I completely understand the intention of the program. And I will say these Neuron orange scooters that we have today are light years ahead of the old Lime scooters that we used to have. When those Lime scooters came out several years back, they became an unsightly mess because the geolocation of them didn't seem to be containing people. They were left all over the place. I don't see the Neuron orange scooters just randomly lying in places around town. If you do, and you can fill me in on that, please do. But I haven't noticed them in my travels. But the problem has become we have normalized the use of these things absent any regulation. And there are a couple of things I'll point you to. One is you just have to look down the road in Mississauga, and here we can get into data where council there said, and I shared the audio with you, it wasn't that long ago, it was just earlier this year. One of the councillors there said, I wish we had never started this program because there has been a reported increase in scooter-related injuries at their hospital. So do the math, as I like to say, and look at the unintended consequence. So sure, we're making an emissions-free, short commute, last mile, we call it, right? You get off the bus or you get off the Ion, you hop on the scooter to take the rest of the way home. Life is great. And this is the whole idea, to improve these options for people. But what we get on the other side of it is increased costs to healthcare because injuries are piling up. And in many cases, these are young people because, again, they have, are they wearing a helmet? Do they know how to properly operate something that can travel up to 30 kilometers per hour if you don't modify it? These are the dangers, right? So there is another side to that. So I would absolutely look at Mississauga and say, hey, like, what are we doing here? What are the numbers at our hospitals looking like? And then I will point you again to Spain. I know I'm going to another part of the world, but doesn't mean we can't learn, doesn't mean we can't pick up best practices. And as of this year, all electric scooters in Spain are required to have civil liability insurance. Why? Because they were involved in too many collisions. So right to what Mr. Radford is talking about, it's actually happening in another part of the world right now. And I think we are burying our heads in the sand right now if we don't acknowledge the problem that does exist here as well. I don't think Arnold Radford is that far off base. Let's go to the phones. Mike is with us. Farwell's Force, member number 37. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning from a very soggy Bruce and Gray County. Mike, I was at home with the mother of the house and back home in Waterloo last fall, and she is restricted to a mobility walker. And we had one of these jack wagons come up with on the orange scooter up on the sidewalk. And it was operated by a young person, and the person just went by full tilt at whatever. I was tempted to give him a Gordie Howe elbow because he came that close to my mom. And I think it is time that we have some regulation on this stuff, including liability insurance, and maybe saying, hey, you go in the bike lanes or something or on the street, that's great. Up here in Huron-Kinloch County, we have a golf cart program that allows seniors to go around in rural areas, but you must operate it on the road, not on multi-use trails, et cetera, and so forth. So my concern is you've got elderly people walking around with maybe with a walker or something on your sidewalk, and years ago, we didn't allow bicycles on the sidewalk, so I think the same thing should be happening here for these lithium-ion devices. And unfortunately, we have jack wagons out there, as you call it, Mike, and they don't believe in courtesy or safety. And that's my thoughts, sir.
All right, Mike, appreciate the call. We still do not allow, under the Highway Traffic Act, bicycles of a certain size on sidewalks. This is one of those instances, though, where we wish we could have a cop on every corner or every sidewalk or every trail to patrol these things. Because if we were able to enforce existing laws and bylaws, we might have a better result. But there's no doubt in my mind that we opened this barn door far too wide, and now we're going to have one heck of a time closing it. What has your experience been, good or bad, with e-scooters in our community? Would love to hear your stories and your perspective on this, because I'm only one guy, and Arnold's one guy, and Mike's one guy, so we got three guys that have expressed some concern. Maybe your experience has been different. Let me know. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
The ability for someone to go out and enjoy themselves while walking, it's completely gone. They're having to turn, look, do everything to make sure nothing's coming up behind them. So they need to be on the road. They need to be using them in accordance with Road and Highway Traffic Act rules. Without that, it's chaos, as we know.
Arnold Radford has appeared on multiple occasions before Regional Council, appealing for regulations on e-scooters in our community, on sidewalks, on trails. He thinks they should be on the road and they should be following the rules of the Highway Traffic Act. What has your experience been with electric vehicles in our community? Not the big kind with four wheels like a Tesla or something like that, but the scooters, the electric motorbikes, whatever it happens to be. Let's go to the phones, hear more from you. Denise, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Thanks for taking my call. Mike, my experience has been horrible with e-scooters, e-bikes. This is how bad it is. They are speeding, not using their bells, coming up behind you, not sharing the trails. And it's so bad. Like the Iron Horse Trail is so bad now. This summer, I'm an avid cyclist, and I do follow the rules of the road. I am now going to ride out in the country because I'm on the north end of Waterloo. And, Mike, it's safer on a country road than the Iron Horse Trail.
Denise, I thank you for the call and sharing that experience. And I love that trail, but it's pretty busy. And if you're whipping around there and you don't really respect others that are not moving as quickly, or you can't handle the speed at which you're traveling, you get the story that Denise shares. Mary, good morning.
Hello. Hello?
Hi.
Hi. I haven't had an experience, although I live beside a woods, Monarch Woods, and I haven't gone through there for a long time. My husband had to jump out of the way of a bicycle, as the lady said. They don't ring the bell, or they don't have a bell, and the guy didn't even stop. My husband had to jump into the woods, and he fell over in there. Then we heard about another guy hit by a cyclist. Thankfully, that guy stayed, and there was litigation. Now, what I wanted to say is I think this wasn't brought in the proper way. It should have gone, the police should have been involved to say, if you do this, bring this in, we have to have the rules. Now, I wish they would ticket a few of these people. They see them. No helmets, blah, blah, blah. Let's start ticketing and then see if we get a result.
Mary, appreciate the call and the thoughts. I will bet you there have been tickets issued. But again, probably not nearly as many as we would like, because you cannot have a police officer in every place at all times, right? Such is the world we live in. I will just say again, though, I think we've got the law of unintended consequences here. And whether you feel like you've got a little egg on your face afterwards or not, it's time for Regional Council to take a serious look at this and just backtrack and put some rules and regulations in place. Let's get an update from the 570 News Center, and then let's talk about that Charles Street bus terminal site in downtown Kitchener. How do we de-risk development as we move forward in phases? Or could we just dream big? This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
This is where today's topics turn into today's talking points. It's local and it's Democratic radio at its finest. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio.
We learned pretty hard through the transit hub that breaking this apart is a path to go forward to de-risk things and achieve benefits across the site. So I fully support that. There's been some great experiences locally and across the country where public ownership has allowed different communities to secure public benefits and really maintain those expectations for development, and also secure an intergenerational asset for our community. Again, it's that huge block right downtown, and that's not to say that every block is retained, but I think this phasing allows us to really dial in on a specific approach while also looking at a specific housing targets across the site.
The Mike Farwell Show continues
on 570 News Radio.
That is Regional Councillor Matt Rodriguez at a council meeting, a meeting of a committee of council on Tuesday. He had a number of thoughtful things to say during that meeting. So I thought, why not reach out to Matt and see if he'll come on the show and talk more about it? And indeed, he was willing to do that. So Councillor Matt Rodriguez joins us on the show this morning. Matt, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
Let's start with the lessons learned from the Transit Hub project, which is why you think this phased development for the former Charles Street terminal makes so much sense. But what lessons did we learn from the Transit Hub experience?
It's a great question. I think when we look back to the Transit Hub project, it went out as one big block, right? So asking, one person or one group to come together to say, we're going to build XYZ in accordance with what the region wants to see. And to grossly simplify it, that was too big of an ask. We wanted too much from that site. We really wanted to shine as a really great transit amenity that had housing and a whole mix of uses, which was really exciting. But it proved almost too big for the market to really respond to. And that's why you're seeing the Transit Hub 2.0, for lack of a better word, that's underway right now and has been designed as more of a transit facility that the region and the province are partnering on to get shovels on the ground. So I think we learned that when you have huge blocks like that, it really is challenging to ask effectively one person to do all that work.
I know that we're really, despite the fact the former terminal on Charles Street was decommissioned in 2019, so that feels like a long time ago, but we're really in very early days of this, having done some public consultation. Now we're talking about this phased approach, the report that you just got the chance to consider at Regional Council. What do the plans at this point, even in these early stages, Matt, look like for that site?
It is such an exciting site. It is right beside the largest park downtown. It is beside the Gockel block that the city of Kitchener has got underway. It really is a connector between so many parts of downtown. And so, what an opportunity! I think right now it'd be too premature to say what exactly it'll look like. But I think we've heard loud and clear from the community, from organizations, and from people who have been along this process along the way that we want to see housing. We want to see affordable, deeply affordable housing. We want to see great community spaces. We want to see, a block that doesn't that brings people downtown and keeps people downtown throughout the day. We heard also about community amenities, parks and green space. What an opportunity to connect to Victoria Park. So I think there's a lot that we want to see, but I think getting into the specifics right now would be a bit early. And so that's why staff came forward with this idea of phasing it, to say, hold on, instead of going out for one big block, what if we broke it into more than one block and asked more than one person to come forward with their development or their proposal for that site, and how can we partner with them, and what does that look like? I think it's super exciting.
So, full disclosure, Matt, I've been having some conversations with some folks, and I brought this idea to the show yesterday because while I completely understand where you're coming from and the point on the transit hub and the challenges taking it as one big piece that were presented in not sort of phasing it, I'm looking at this former bus terminal site on Charles Street as a massive opportunity, and I think we could do something really big and really significant if and I mean no disrespect, but if the government just got out of the way. Like, why is it so important that the region kind of drive this bus? Why can't we just turn it over to the private sector and do some big dreaming here?
It's a really good question, Mike. I mean, the community owns that land right now. And if we start carving it up and selling the whole thing, it's gone, right? And, I'm of the opinion that that land is one of the biggest costs in development and one of the biggest, costs of housing. And so if we can be part of a solution that the private sector does the building to do the build, but we're able to support with land or other things, we can also achieve some of our community objectives for affordable housing and to set those clear expectations for what we want to see. I think I would be really hesitant to let go of this full block and it become, another block of investor-sized condos. And I think that's what I would be disappointed if that's what this ended up being.
What if it ended up being a great space for sports and entertainment, maybe a convention center, other things that attract economic opportunity to the community? And then, I'm asking as somebody that doesn't know, but who's trying to dream a little big here. If the region just sells that land, because you mentioned that's the biggest piece of development is the price of the land, and then the region could use the money from that sale to do the affordable housing project somewhere else.
I think that's one thing that communities have done in the past, right? Is the idea of selling a big piece of land, taking those monies and investing them elsewhere. But I also think there's an opportunity to invest in downtown, and we've seen other models locally where either the cities have kept land and allowed nonprofit either housing or service providers to build on that land on a long-term land lease. There's a ton of really great examples across Canada where that public ownership of that land, again, allows us to secure truly affordable housing that our community so desperately needs. Now, if we take a step back to what your original comment was about a community center, community space, convention center, those types of things, I think all of this would go out to private tender, right? So anything that goes on here would go out to tender. And if there are those compelling, visions for the site, I think that would be the opportunity. But by no means is what we talked about at that committee on Tuesday the end of the road. In fact, it's really the beginning of the next step in the process. So, yeah, if those ideas come forward, let's see it. But I would say from my perspective, I would hate to see, a 1 or 2 story building with no housing on that site that works towards what we want to see for affordable housing in our community.
Yeah, and believe you me, Matt, I get the priority and frankly the urgency around affordable, attainable housing. I think what Build Now is doing in Waterloo up by Rim Park is exactly the sort of thing we need more of.
You got it.
Yeah, for sure. And so I want to make sure that, I'm clear on that. I'm starting to worry a little bit, just as a guy who lives here and is passionate about the community, that, we're laser focused on these problems, which has to happen. But are we just building places for people to live? Are we just existing here then? Or do we have places for people to go and enjoy the city? We're going to have 1 million people. Where are they going to go see a concert? Are we going to force them to go to Toronto?
It would be premature for me to say anything about concert venues or anything. I truly don't know what that would look like. But I think part of also the report that we got on Tuesday was that staff are really trying to figure out what we could do from a community use perspective. Right, we have a ton of people living downtown and more on the way. What's their recreation need? What type of space do we need for community organizations who really want meeting space, or neighborhood associations who want meeting space? So I absolutely think that a huge part of that, this site, is not just housing. It's that community amenity, and it's that that green space, but also, probably some opportunities for some retail or little shops along the way. I would say I would love to have a broader community discussion about those types of amenities you exactly speak to, concert halls or conference centers. I think that's a 100% valid question and something that we need to set onto. Is it this site? I don't know. But again, this will go out to market, and we'll see what comes back.
I know that the plan was endorsed at committee on Tuesday, this phased approach, a lot of support for it. And again, really thoughtful remarks from you during that meeting, Matt. What are the next steps now? Where are we going from here on this project?
Well, before we talk about anything new and flashy, the the unfortunate part of this site is that it's rather dirty underground. There's a ton of work that needs to happen to understand what types of contaminants and chemicals and who knows what else is underground. So that work is underway this year. And then sort of concurrently, I guess, as I mentioned, everything will go to market, right? And so it's developing requests for proposals, which is that procurement framework to go out and say, all right, here's this site or here are these sites. Put forward your best plan. But here's our expectations for those sites. And so I think setting those, and what I was really interested in is as part of that, being really, really intentional about what we mean when we say affordable housing. That doesn't mean, it would only be affordable or non-market housing, but, it would be a real miss if there were 5 or 10 units. But what's the overall vision? Every block might not be affordable. Every building might not be affordable. But across this site, what are we actually trying to achieve and not just putting the words affordable housing out there? And so that's what I was trying to achieve through some of the amendments that I brought forward. And again, to look at some of the blocks, maybe they stay in public ownership. But maybe some of them, it makes sense to not. And so I think council needs to have all that information before we make a decision.
Inclusionary zoning, perhaps a part of this then, to that end, Matt?
Well, inclusionary zoning is a great case study of why, the provincial government paused inclusionary zoning in Kitchener under the guise that, the market isn't best suited to deliver affordable housing right now. So if the market isn't best suited to do it through inclusionary zoning, who is? And I think that's us. Again, in partnership with builders, much like Build Now, some of the other projects that are happening in our community, some of the Indwell projects. I think we need to set our expectations high, but realistic, and set the conditions for what's a challenging market. So, sure, inclusionary zoning, but that's on the back burner right now, and I think is a lesson for us as we go forward.
Really appreciate your work on this at committee on Tuesday, Matt, and the time you've given us on the show this morning. Thanks for being here.
Great to be on, Mike, and happy to keep this conversation going. It's an exciting site.
It certainly is. We will talk again to that end then. Thank you for that. Have a great day.
You too, Mike. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Matt Rodriguez is a regional councillor who represents Kitchener. I won't bore you again with the rather lengthy rant I went on yesterday. It just came, it really did come from the heart, and I alluded to it here. And if you missed it yesterday, the long and the short of it is, I agree that this is an exciting opportunity. It's a critical site, and I want to dream big for it. I'm not trying to discount the need for affordable housing, community space, green space, Indigenous space, but I would like to think that those amenities could be incorporated elsewhere. We've got the Bram Street yards still to come online, City of Kitchener versus region, but still the Bram Street yards in downtown Kitchener. Market Square is still sitting there. I think there are other opportunities. This one makes too much sense to me with the LRT literally outside the front door to become that arena, conference center, convention center. I've envisioned the entire block from Charles in Ontario down to Charles and Francis Street. Again, I've gone over that before. I just think that we didn't get to where we are as a community by resting comfortably on our laurels. We have dreamed big in the past, and I think we can dream big. I think we should dream big again here. And I recognize that I say that as someone who is in stable housing. I'm paying a hell of a mortgage, but I'm in housing and I can pay that mortgage. I get it. I know how many people are struggling to get into the housing market here, and I'm not trying to be dismissive of them. I'm just looking at this site and saying, boy, oh boy, it checks a lot of boxes for me. And, you know, when you hear Matt say, and this was the prevailing theme that got me kind of fired up from that committee meeting, if the region maintains control and or ownership of this land, then the region, our local government, can guide the development. I really want the government to just get out of the way on this one. That's my 2 cents again, but a worthwhile conversation, and I look forward to it continuing. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
If we can be part of a solution that the private sector does the building, but we're able to support with land or other things, we can also achieve some of our community objectives for affordable housing. I think I would be really hesitant to let go of this whole block and it become, another block of investor-sized condo. And I think that's what I would be disappointed if that's what this ended up being.
That is Regional Councillor Matt Rodriguez talking about the former bus terminal on Charles Street in downtown Kitchener. What would disappoint him? Richard sends an email to Mike at 570news.com. Hey, Mike, why do we want to build affordable housing in a city core? Prime real estate. Build affordable housing in the suburbs. Build things which people from out of town would be drawn to by a vibrant and exciting city center. Let's attract investment downtown and let's make Kitchener a destination city. I feel similarly, Rich, but I appreciate the email. And just ahead of your daily reminder that not everybody is a jackwagon, let's go to the phones here from Doug. Good morning, Doug.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
In your OHL travels, have you ever been to the where the Hamilton Bulldogs used to play at the Cops Coliseum?
Absolutely.
Well, that was started in 1983. It used to be the farmer's market and a 3-story garage. And they built that on the intentions of drawing an NHL team. It's an 18,000-seat arena, but the team never came to fruition. But that place is always busy now. It's home to a lot of ice capades, monster truck shows, concerts. It is really thriving. And it was like they turned that corner into a piece of art.
Yeah, they really did. It's a destination now, isn't it? And it's a destination that we compete with, or we can't compete with currently. I think Doug's on to something there. Okay, just ahead of your 10:30 update from the 570 News Center. Your daily reminder, not everybody is a jackwagon. It was not the nicest day, don't you know, in Ashland, Virginia. Temperature below zero, some wet snow, some freezing rain. And Dan DiCandillo would have rather stayed inside, but Dan and his dog Gozier had a routine, and Gozier was ready for her walk. So despite the bad weather, off they went, and about 20 minutes into their daily walk, something changed.
Gozier started barking wildly, and the bark was a different bark in that it had a little bit of a cry to it. I tried to pull her. I said, come on, Gozier, let's go. And she resisted.
Gozier's attention, you see, was locked onto what looked like a pile of snow in front of a nearby home, but it wasn't snow. It was a woman in a white robe. She was barely moving. DiCandillo calls 911 and later learns that the woman lived next door to where she was found and had been outside in the freezing temperatures for hours. She had Alzheimer's and was known to try and walk out of the house in the middle of the night. Her body temperature had dropped to a level classified as severe hypothermia and a critical medical emergency. Thankfully, she was taken to the hospital, released just a few days later, and DiCandillo says he learned something pretty important from his pet.
If you see something out there that doesn't look right, don't ignore it. I think that's the moral of this story. I would have ignored it if it wasn't for Gozier.
And Gozier has now been recognized by Ashland City Council as a hero for saving that woman's life. I mean, I think we already knew that dogs were not jackwagons, right? This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio. Don't get me started with cats. And Rogers TV.
Hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah. I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. I'm hooked on a feeling.
It's Thursday morning, and we get hooked on that feeling of humor. We tickle our funny bones on Thursday mornings just after the 10:30 news with our good friend Gary Chalk. He is the author of the humor column, Living Retired. You can find that column online at livingretired.press. And while you're there, you can also sign up to have the column delivered directly into your inbox. It's a great way to start your week with a little bit of humor amongst all of the memos and the notices from the boss. Also, while you are at livingretired.press, you can get in touch with Gary and maybe encourage him to come out to your service club or retirement party or whatever the case may be, so he can bring his own unique style and elevate your event just that little bit more. Gary, it must be Thursday morning at 10:35. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Mike with a mic, and how are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you, friend. How about yourself?
Not too bad. A little bit of plugged ears this morning, so holding the phone very close to my ear today. The thing with these plugged ears, I've had them for about a week here now. I don't hear Jan. And, well, that can be good and bad.
Well, now, hang on a sec. Gary, are you just saying that? Like, I've tried that one, too. For weeks, I'm like, sorry, honey, I can't hear you.
Oh, I don't know. Hey, how's your garbage? Is it improving?
Next question, please.
Okay, as I understand it, the way the system works there, you've got these garbage trucks. They got these big mobile arms that come out, and as long as every homeowner through the region places their garbage pails and bins and all that stuff properly at the end of their driveway, the required distance between them, the handle situated in such a way. I mean, what can go wrong? But as long as they can do that, and the trouble is, the bins are the size of smart cars. You got to get them out there. So, assuming this technology can work, I've been thinking, Mike. Yesterday you really caught my attention with Dream Big. Here's what I've been dreaming big about. We would start a business. It would be an app, of course. That's how everything works. And we would develop the home version of the mechanical arms. And there'd be all sorts of uses around the home. For instance, living retired guys like me, we could have, because I'm on an app, I could touch my phone in the morning when I want to get up, and this home version of the mechanical arms, they'd come into my bedroom, slip under my body while I'm still in bed, sort of lift me up slowly and slide me onto my feet and get out of bed.
They better be warm arms if they're sliding under those covers, Gary.
Well, the other trouble is they got to maneuver past all those decorator pillows, so that would be one glitch that we would work out in our first month. Here's another one, your family room. You know, sitting there in my lazy boy chair, it could slide underneath me and lift me to a standing. Oops, another glitch I just realized. They'd have to go through the decorator pillows on the family room floor. Oh, well, here's another one. How about this? Your teenage kids coming home for reading week soon. They're just going to be on your sofa 24/7 drinking your beer. So what you could do, you could send those mechanical arms over, lift your kid, go to the back door, and just throw them.
I like that idea.
You like that one?
It's a perfect idea.
Oh, my gosh. Remember a few weeks ago we talked about ripening well? Do you remember that?
We talked about, sorry?
People ripening well as they age.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah. Well, someone said to me, Gary, you've ripened well, and meant I was looking good, I guess, for my age. And I took that as a compliment, but I posed it to Jan at breakfast the other day. I said, dear, do you think I have ripened well? As she glanced up at me, she looked back down at her bowl of granola, which had wrinkled, dried prunes in it. And she said, compared to what?
Oh.
Yeah, anyways. And so she said, I could say you have more wrinkles than an elephant. So the question is, what constitutes ripening well? I mean, every man and woman, as we grow old, we live retired, we expect our bodies to begin to change as we age, right? So it starts up at our neck. It gets flabby. You can sort of grab a hold of your neck skin there, and you can shake it. Give it a good shake. It's turkey neck is what it is. But you can take that skin, and before you know it, it starts to head south. It's a Canadian thing, like we're snowbirds going down to the Florida area. All that saggy skin under your neck starts to sag and go down your body, and it more or less bulges together when it reaches your breasts. And then from there, it picks up all that extra fat, and, well, it picks up steam going down towards the stomach and your hips. You know, your stomach starts to grow, your hips get wide with all that extra skin. March can't be stopped. It's like molten lava. Suddenly our thighs become fatter. Everything eventually comes to an end, and all this extra skin and fat reconstitutes as fat ankles.
Don't you just hate the thick ankles, Gary?
I tell you, you get up in the morning, you still got dents in your ankle there. Your ankles start to look like the ruins of the Greek columns at the Acropolis. That's about what it is. But there's another sign that we have not ripened well as we decline. That's our cognitive skills. I've noticed that as I've been retiring. You know, it's our sense of logic, our sense of reaction. So here's an example. This example, Mike, it's purely hypothetical, of course.
Of course.
It did not happen to me. If you're driving and you suddenly swerve to miss a pine tree and your wife screams, "Gary, it was the air freshener hanging from your rear view mirror," that's a sign you're not ripening well.
I think that would be.
That would be one. And I find before you live retired, you don't have time for small talk. You just want to get on things, you know, move it on, give me my cash, give me my parcel, move it on. But now that you're retired, we do have time for small talk. So instead of going to the automatic teller machine, I just park the car, I go inside, and I chat up the bank teller. We talk about the weather, we talk about the grandkids, and as that line behind me continues to grow with frustrated customers who are waiting patiently but looking at me, then I'll introduce another important topic like, you know, replacing the snow tires.
You know, Gary, you are the kind of person I promise myself I won't be in 10 or 15 years. You know that, right?
Well, if you start looking for a pair of your first suspenders, you're on your way. And the other thing, your body maintenance becomes a thing. You know, your joints pop, your back aches, your knees start to to throb. You get toenail fungus, and that's just before you got out of bed. So, have you ripened well when you get out of the car after a 3-minute drive to the gas station, stand at the door of the car, and you slowly stretch before you can walk? Are you at that stage yet?
Oh, I certainly am. I start my day with a shuffle, Gary. That's how I start.
Yeah, but you look cool when you jump on your bike. So here's my advice to ripen well. Tell anyone who will listen that you don't have wrinkles. What you have are laugh lines.
Exactly. That's what we get. We don't get wrinkles. We get laugh lines, and we get more of them when we laugh along with Gary Chalk. Living Retired Thursday mornings just after the 10:30 news right here on the show. It's Living Retired on the radio. You can find Living Retired online at livingretired.press and have that column delivered directly to your inbox every week. We'll take a break. We'll come back and continue our conversation with Gary. Do you think he always wanted to be a humor writer? We'll find out coming up. It's Living Retired on the radio on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. If it is a Thursday morning at this time, we must be enjoying good humor together. And no, I don't mean the ice cream. I mean the humor column written by Gary Chalk, Living Retired. We bring Living Retired to your radios and TVs every Thursday morning with Gary. Don't forget you can find the column online as well at livingretired.press. And while you're there, you can sign up to have that column delivered right to your inbox. Gary, did you always want to be a humor writer?
Not really, no. It sort of happened somewhat serendipitously. I always, well, I shouldn't say so much I enjoyed humor as I acted up. I was the class clown. Really was. And Jan still married me because she was in my class. Go imagine anyways. But back when I retired, which I was fortunate to retire early, and, I went through the all golf all the time routine. I went through the all morning with friends at the coffee shop phase, I went through the COVID homemade sourdough bread weight gain plan. Well, everybody survived that one, I think. And so things moved along. And to answer your question, a few of us were out for dinner, 2 couples, and we were having dinner the other night and got talking about our respective careers and, what we did. And one thing led to another. And then it came up, they said, what would each of us do if we could do it all over again? If stress and money and things weren't issues, what would we have done differently? So Mike, who was at the table, he said he would have done something entrepreneurial. He wanted to be his own boss. Didn't talk about what it would be. He just said, I wanted to be my own boss. Mike's wife, she said that if it were her, she would have gone back to school and taken her MBA. She didn't talk about what she would use it for. She just wanted the opportunity to go back to school, get her MBA, and maybe she would have done something different. So then Mike looked over to me and he said, Gary, what would you have done differently? And I said, well, that's easy. I wouldn't have switched to skim milk when I married Jan. And that's when we realized, we're talking about in your career. I had to get dialed into this, you see.
I get it.
Yeah. So it came around to Jan's turn to tell us what she would have done if she could do it all over again. Mike, you've met Jan. Do you have any idea of what career path she would have done differently?
Oh, that is an excellent question. Now, this is career path. She's not making different choices in life partners, right? Okay.
That's another question.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I think Jan would make an excellent CEO.
Whoa. Wow, boy, she's going to be... You know how to win, friend. Well, first of all, she graduated from computer science at the University of Waterloo, and she started at Mutual Life, which is now Clerica. Now, remember, we were at a restaurant having a meal, and you, quite honestly, aren't far off of what you think. Jan said, she would have been a fire chief.
Really?
Yeah, and a fire chief. Mike, I darn near choked on my smoked salmon with fire-roasted tomatoes. I had no idea. But then I got to thinking about it. All these years we've been married, I love to cook. She helps me in the kitchen. Well, actually, I do the cooking. She's around the corner flailing a tea towel underneath the smoke alarm.
Been there.
Yeah, and I think that sparked her interest in becoming a fire chief. But it turns out, Mike, where there's smoke, there's fire. Have you ever heard of the Myers-Briggs test?
Absolutely, I have.
Have you done it?
Not in a very long time. I think it was back in university or maybe even high school. I can't remember.
Yeah, well, I remember it was all letters, M and P's. I don't know what it was.
Yep.
I tried it, and I just knew that I wasn't qualified to take the Myers-Briggs study. Anyways, when she was working at the company she was working at, she went through the Myers-Briggs, and it recognized her strong decision-making ability and her natural leadership skills. And the report came back. She would be good as a fire chief. And everybody at the restaurant, they sort of all agreed. I never thought about it. So, anyways, Mike, if you could do it all over again, and you couldn't be a radio announcer, what would you have done?
You mean I can't be?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I think about this often, and I know it's the boring answer because I would not have done, I just wouldn't. You want to talk about if money's no object, you can't make money in this business. But I've loved every second of it. But it's especially now where I think back on where I actually started, which was in a classroom trying to teach the young minds of the future. Right. And Gary, if I had stuck with it, I would be, what is this, March? So April, May, June, I would be 3 months from retirement.
Whoa.
Full pension.
Yeah.
That gets kind of attractive right now. But
it does. And you know what? I think you would make a good teacher, too. I really do.
I was a terrible teacher.
Yeah,
I had no business. Maybe. I could have gotten better over time. And so that's I get thinking about, especially around now. That wow. But I don't think I would have survived 30 years in the classroom, Gary. Or the kids certainly wouldn't have.
Yeah, that's true. But, you know, I mean, you would get, 3 months off to try to get better every year.
You're not wrong, Gary. Yeah. You're not wrong.
Hey, Mike, ask me. Say, Gary, if you could do it all over again, what job would you have done?
I am dying to know, Gary. If you could do it all over again, money's no object.
Yep.
What job would you have done?
Money is no object. Stress is not an issue. And I am speaking sincerely from the heart. I don't make this stuff up. What I have loved to have done is work in a grocery store.
Really?
Yeah, I go grocery shopping at least 3 times a week. I walk up and down the aisles. I enjoy it in there. One thing I like to do is when I pick up a melon, what I always do is I pick the melon up and I hold it to my ear and I tap it a few times and sort of shrug and put it down and do this for a few, and then I pick one up and I tap and it sounds right and I give the signal that's good and I put it in my cart. Then I like to look back and see if other people are doing the same thing.
Absolutely. You look like the expert when you do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Looks like it anyways. But I enjoy, as I say, going to grocery stores. I would have loved to. Imagine me as a grocery clerk at Zayre's.
Gary, you'd have one customer a day. You would talk their ear off, and that would be the end of that. Lineups out the door.
That's true. But let me explain why I'd be a good grocery store clerk before you check out. Sorry, I had to cough there from this cold. I would have studied very hard to become a grocery store clerk. And I think I would have graduated at the top of my class for packing fresh eggs at the bottom of the bag. I would have been able to direct customers to where to find the pinto beans.
Pinto beans are a very important grocery staple.
Yes. Sorry about that. They're in aisle 7, near 6-bean medley. Most of all, I like setting up Miss Vicky's chip displays.
Gary, we're going to lose you this morning. You are really battling through for us on Living Retired today.
Well, last line. When you graduate school as a grocery store clerk, they probably give you an X-Acto knife, right? That's what you use for opening the things. Jan said that's not good. But here's another thing, Mike. When lawyers graduate from law school, they are called to the bar. When you graduate as a grocery store clerk, you're called to aisle 3 for cleanup.
Gary, give your voice a rest, and we'll laugh again together next week.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Gary. Bye-bye. Poor Gary. Oh, it's just fading fast there at the end. He brings us Living Retired every Thursday morning on the radio. That's the humor column he writes, which you can find online at livingretired.press. And while you're there, sign up to have the column delivered directly into your inbox, or get in touch with Gary and have him come out and speak at your service club or your retirement party or any other corporate event that you have, because Gary brings, as you hear here every Thursday morning, a very unique style to his presentation. So Gary Chalk joins us Thursday mornings just after the 10:30 news with Living Retired on the radio. I'm just thinking more now, and I kind of copped out, but I meant it when I said it. Like, if you could do it all over again, career-wise, what would you do? And I've always said, like, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. Since I was a kid, this is the only thing I wanted to do. I never necessarily thought about being on the air or having a growing Farwell's force like we have on this show. It was just an interest in being on or being involved in radio, one way or t'other. I've always loved this medium, and I'm so lucky to be here. But if I didn't cop out, I was thinking a little more as I was listening to Gary talk about working in a grocery store. I mean, the idea, and I find it more appealing the older I get, of having a job where I just go in to start my shift, I put in my 8 hours, maybe there's overtime to do sometimes, but then I go home, and when I'm home, I'm home. Like, this is one of those jobs that is all consuming, right? You're always looking for the next story, keeping up with what's going on. Not that I'm complaining, but sometimes you think, just go and do your 8 hours and go home. And if not that, and that could be any number of things, I suppose. Or how about a race car driver? You know what? I like things that go fast. I'm a bit of a gearhead. Can I have a fast car, please, and drive it legally around an oval sometime? That would be all right, too. We're going to get you an update from the 570 News Center, and then we're going to talk about the fast food CEO that made a major faux pas, or was it instead a marketing stroke of genius? That conversation coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It should come as no surprise to anyone who has ever been quote-unquote ratioed. That means when you post something on social media and the comments overwhelmingly let you know that what you said or what you did was absolutely the wrong thing. Welcome to the modern age where we post so much online and then, unless we lock down comments or some such thing, we subject ourselves to the judgment of our internet followers. And so I remind you of the CEO of a major fast food chain, which is introducing the Big Arch. So you know what fast food chain we're talking about, right? The one with the golden arches? Yeah. McDonald's, the Big Arch. By the way, you can't get it here in Canada yet. But nonetheless, as a way of introducing this new sandwich or burger to the community, the CEO of McDonald's appeared in a short video that was posted on social media enjoying the burger for lunch, except, well, if you have seen the video, and millions have, not so sure he's enjoying it. And he also referred to it as a product, not a burger or a sandwich. So surely this is as big a marketing fail as you could ever expect, right? Let's find out. Pretinder Kaur is an associate professor in the Lang School of Business and Economics at the University of Guelph and joins us for a conversation. Pretinder, good morning.
Good morning.
So was this a major fail on the part of McDonald's and its CEO?
I wouldn't say so. If you look at the video, they didn't do something so controversial or very unethical that people would go ahead and boycott it. Yes, it got some attention for the wrong reasons. It's a lot of free earned media at the end of the day. And I think overall, it's actually good for McDonald's because anytime anyone talks about this entire burger war going on, McDonald's is at the center of the story. It's the origin of the story. So McDonald's is getting a lot of brand mentions. So I would say overall, it didn't go the way they planned it to go, but it is still positive for McDonald's.
I guess, does this go back to the old adage, Pretinder, that no press is bad press?
Yes, absolutely right.
So what risks do companies run when they do things like this? Like it's a world where I think we're almost expected to have some sort of online presence. Maybe it's to answer customer inquiries or deal with complaints, or maybe it's to promote products like this. I mean, what kind of risks are companies running, or what kind of rewards maybe exist in it too?
So one risk is that obviously you can end up offending someone or some sections of our community, which is obviously not a good thing. What they're trying to do is to humanize the brand, and the CEO is using his own product or burger to show that he is confident in that. But the way he was approaching it, the way he was eating it, did not signal that confidence. So that's a risk that McDonald's took, and it didn't pay off. And the other risk that is when you have other brands coming up with their own response videos. So McDonald's wouldn't have received this big of a backlash if Burger King hadn't come up with their own response video, which was obviously much more confident and really casual. And then Wendy's also came up and they took a few sarcastic comments by saying that our machines are always working or it's fresh and never frozen. So you always run the risk of any competitive actions being taken against you. So I think today in this age, that is one of the biggest risks, how your competitors are going to react to what you've done.
I think, though, in this case, maybe Wendy's and Burger King and others inadvertently just gave McDonald's more publicity by doing these response videos.
Yeah, and McDonald's couldn't have, planned for it. Even if they invested some money, they couldn't have gone in this direction. So they're getting much more brand mentions than they had expected. So that's actually good for McDonald's because people might be curious about what this whole hype is about, and they will go to the stores to see if they can get a hold of that burger.
When a company, I think one of the risks that they do run, if they're putting forward the CEO as a pitch person, for example, like You know, I mean, I work in this industry, Pretender, so forgive me for being so judgmental, but the CEO of McDonald's didn't exactly come across as warm in that video.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can't really coach the CEO on how to act. And again, if Burger King did not come up with that response video, you couldn't, notice the difference, the huge difference between those two CEOs. So Burger King's video actually made it much more apparent. And now people are, diagnosing McDonald's original video. If you go up to the comments, people are having some crazy comments there. Like some people are also mentioning that the amount of fries in his meal kept on changing throughout the video. And then there have been comments about, the CEO spitting out whatever he ate into a napkin. So, if you go up to the comment section, people are really, diagnosing that video in detail. Which means they are revisiting it and watching it for an extended period of time, right? Yeah, and you don't need to be an expert on burgers to do that online. Anyone can go, and it's low-stakes humor. People are having fun with it. They're having fun comparing the CEOs, and they can join in without any expertise. So people are just getting engaged with it. Do you think it's possible, Pretender, that this was all done deliberately? They knew they were putting out a kind of bad ad, or they knew that the CEO looked a little stiff, but they thought, we're going to run with it anyway? I don't think so. I mean, originally, when Burger King didn't have any response to that video, the original McDonald's video was out there, but I don't think they planned for it to, show the stiff CEO who's not really enjoying the burger. It just happened, and I don't think they're going to do it again anytime soon. And the other thing that I think about from this, I wonder if there were any meetings and people were concerned about the response to the video and thinking, man, should we take this down because we're getting killed here on social media? But good thing they wouldn't have removed it. Yeah, and I again think back to the fact that it's not something very controversial that McDonald's has done. If you look at other ads that other companies have put out, some of them have been controversial, and only those ones need to be taken down. So it was not something really, really bad. In fact, I think McDonald's would just prefer to have that video online for a very long time so that people can enjoy the conversation and, participate in it. And probably get excited about buying a big arch burger, too. Probably, yes. Pretender, I appreciate your time on the show today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having me. Yeah. Pretender Kaur is an assistant professor in the Lang School of Business and Economics at the University of Guelph. It was the CEO commercial that fell flat for McDonald's, or did it? Because as the old saying goes, there's no such thing as bad press. I've shared this story with you before, but in case you haven't heard it, along those very lines, there's no such thing as bad press. I was writing a column for the paper, and I wanted to quote a local member of council, and I reached out to that councillor over the course of a weekend, asking if it would be okay if I attributed this quote to them and if it stood, etc. And the counselor did not get back to me by deadline. But when he did, he said, in the future, I don't care what you, don't care what you attribute to me. I guess there was a level of trust there. But the bottom line was, from the email exchange, as long as you spell my name correctly. In other words, if my name is getting out there into the paper, I am just fine with that, because no press is bad press. And I don't know. I found this, it was super awkward. I spent some time earlier in my career trying to do a little bit of that coaching with company executives as part of an internal marketing department. And I had some experience, obviously, from this line of work. And it's not as easy. It's not as easy as you think, coming across in a very authentic way. I mean, practice makes improvement. We all know that. But sometimes you'll run into a company leader who's hell-bent on, I'm going to be the point person on this. I'm going to be the face of this organization. I'm going to star in this corporate video. And there were times we'd be sitting back in the edit suite afterwards and just be cringing
at the quote-unquote performances that we got. But hey, I do think there is something to putting the human face to that big, in this case, restaurant chain CEO. This is the person who's behind the company. They are not George Clooney or Brad Pitt or Meryl Streep. They're not trained and talented actors. They are who they are. And I don't think it's ever a bad idea to put your real self forward. And particularly in this case, I say kudos to the team at Mickey D's for not falling into the trap of removing the video because there was so much fun being poked at it. If we can't laugh at ourselves, what can we do anyway? We're going to take a quick time out. That's what we're going to do immediately here on the show. And when we come back, get ready for not one, but two KW Titans games this coming weekend. The Titans have won 3 in a row, and they've got a double header coming up on the weekend. We'll talk all about it next on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Your KW Titans have won 3 straight basketball games, and that's a good thing because the Montreal Tundra in the Basketball Super League, along with your KW Titans, are also winning lately. So the Titans need to keep pace with those Montreal Tundra for first or second or third place. You take your pick. It's the Titans in first, the Tundra in second, the Sudbury 5 in third. All 3 teams have played 20 games. All 3 teams have identical 14-6 records. So 3 wins in a row for the Titans. 3 home games in a row coming up starting on Saturday against those Montreal Tundra. Imagine that. Isn't it just the way it should work out? And you know that every time the Titans have a home game, there is a theme connected to our community, so we'll learn more about it as we're joined on the show this morning by Lucas Furfaro, who's the game day operations manager with the Titans. Lucas, good morning.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure, as always. And David Schooley, the co-owner of your KW Titans, with us as well. David, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. And you know what? Thanks again for having us on.
Oh, my gosh. It's an absolute pleasure. Love to talk about all of the great things going on around here. And we know that one of those things is the chance to take in basketball at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. Always a good time and always a connection to the community. So, Lucas, let me start with you to that end. As the game day operation manager, fill us in. We'll start with Saturday, that big game against the Tundra. It's the We Belong Waterloo region and Meet the Rangers game all wrapped up into one.
That's right. Yeah, this weekend is going to be awesome. We kick it off with a bang on Saturday, as you said. The Tundra are going to be in for that big game of first against second. 4 p.m. is the tip-off. We Belong, like you said, we're partnering with Waterloo Region on this one. And, yes, the Rangers are going to be there. We have Dylan Edwards, Sam O'Reilly, Cam Reed, Alexander Bilecki. We have Matt Andonovsky, Hayden Ellis, and Weston Cameron. So we got a pretty big list of Rangers coming out to meet some fans, and we have some junior hockey teams as well. And in addition to that, we actually have some of the Waterloo Warriors organization coming out and bringing some of their women's hockey athletes to support the national tournament coming up, because we are hosting the U Sports National Tournament at the University of Waterloo in town, which will take place in Elmira. So that'll be another little addition to that Saturday game, which is going to be fantastic. I'm really excited for that game.
I absolutely love it. And what a great array of local sports to bring together as you're battling the Tundra in that big first, second place matchup. And yes, the U Sports Women's Hockey Championships opening in Elmira. Our University of Waterloo Warriors, the host team. It opens 1 week from today on the 19th. And then we move to Sunday, Lucas. The Lake Erie Jackals are here, and it's not only the Community Heroes game, but the opportunity for us to stuff a cruiser for the toy drive.
Yes, I'm really excited about that. It was a big thing that we did around Christmas time in a previous season, but now we're doing it at this time of year, and it's really just to show that toys are needed for children all year long, right? It's not just a Christmas thing. There's things like birthdays and other events. So fans, if you guys are coming out to fill the cruiser, please bring a new unwrapped toy, and we're going to get as many as we can, and we're going to have the cruiser set up at court level. So it's going to be really fun for that toy drive.
I love to see that. I've been able to participate in the past, and it's great to see that little pyramid of toys beginning to build there at courtside. So, David, let's talk about this club. And, oh, my gosh, what a race you are in the midst of now with these Titans, the Tundra, and the Sudbury Five.
It's historical, isn't it? Have you ever seen that three-way tie?
I can't recall the last time, if I have seen it.
Yeah, it is. You know what? We've got a remarkable team this year, and earlier last week we were in third. So the guys played really, really hard yesterday, and we've lost to Erie before, but yesterday was a great game, and they really rose to the occasion.
It was a big win, 136-113 over those Lake Erie Jackals. And David, can you take us a little bit, kind of in behind the scenes of this and what these athletes are going through, and what, as an organization, the work that goes into building a first place basketball club?
Well, we have players that play all over the world, and so we hear what their daily routine is like in most places, and we're extremely structured here. We have practice at a structured time every day. We have structured lifting, and structured shooting afterwards. All through the week, they have a very tight calendar, and if they're not working out, shooting, playing, or lifting weights, they are out in the community. So I think that's what builds a strong team. The guys are working together. They live together. We have a couple of larger houses where that are literally across the street from each other. And something interesting is they're all coming to dinner at my house tonight.
Put on some extra food, David.
Yeah, so Kate's going to be scrambling around, and my son Cole is a master chef, so we'll be feeding the boys tonight. We have a small house, and it gets very small when you put an extra 16 or 18 people in.
I love it. And Lucas, I've seen you operate on a game day, and as the operation manager, to ensure that the experience for all of the fans coming to the Memorial Auditorium for a Titans game is a top-notch experience. You might just have to build a fence around the Rangers to keep people away from them this weekend, though.
Yeah, that's right. I've got some stanchions on the side to make sure there's a little bit of limited access. They're going to be sitting courtside, so it won't be kind of accessible to all fans. But they are going to be at a table on one of the ends for halftime, so fans can come down and meet them. Same with the Warriors. There's going to be autograph sheets and everything available down there. So it's going to be great.
What kind of work, Lucas, goes into ensuring that top-notch experience for fans when they come to a Titans game?
It's pretty simple for me, honestly. I've been doing events for so long, so it kind of comes naturally. But from that, I kind of put myself in a viewer's shoes every time, and I say to myself, "Hey, is this going to look professional? And is this going to be something worth watching? Right? Is it going to be interesting and whatnot?" And I always want to make sure that we put things that grab everybody's attention at really important parts of the game, and where it makes sense. And we also try to involve the fans as much as we can, because the fan experience is, at the end of the day, all about them, and I want to highlight them as much as we can as well. So from a game day standpoint, I really want it to be about the fans and about kind of excitement, right? It's entertainment at the end of the day. So I want everybody to be having fun and our product to be as fun and as entertaining as possible.
Yeah, I love that. Putting that focus on the fans, exactly where it should be. Lucas, David, appreciate the time on the show. Go Titans, go this weekend.
Yes, and you know what? We want to make another real quick announcement that we're doing a check presentation on Sunday as well from our 50-50 proceeds, right? That when you buy a 50-50 ticket, half of that money goes someplace in the community, and it's to Waterloo Region Suicide Prevention Council on Sunday. So we're very honored to be giving them a check.
Love that you're doing that and helping out such an important organization. Gentlemen, thank you again for being here this morning.
Yeah,
thanks,
thank
Mike.
you so much, Mike.
David Schooley, Lucas Fafaro. David Schooley is the co-owner of the KW Titans. Lucas is the game day operation manager. Back-to-back weekend home games for your Titans at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. Tickets and details at kwtitans.com. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Well, every Thursday morning, just after the 11:30 news, we turn things over to you. Share some stories, oftentimes have a few laughs. I don't know if this is necessarily a laughing matter, but I think we can learn from one another on this, and maybe you've had an experience that you can share with us as a teachable moment. Allow me to set this up for you. Chatting with my best buddy last night, and he has been asked by another friend in our friend group, all names left out to protect the innocent, of course, and they can just try to figure out who is the best friend in this group anyway. Either way, my buddy has been asked to loan some money to another buddy. And the thing is, he has done this in the past. In fact, it was only a few months ago. Loaned some money, and it still has not been paid back. He's reminded our buddy on a number of occasions, hey, you remember that money I lent you? And despite that, the money has still not been paid back. So he's being asked if he could help out again because our buddy's in a tough spot. And my buddy's like, why would I lend this guy money when he hasn't even paid back the money I previously loaned him? For whatever reason, and this is why it came up in conversation, some of our other buddies are saying, hey, friends are friends, and friends help friends, and you should help this guy even though he hasn't yet paid you back the other money. I'm like, hell to the no. You do not. That's the very definition, in my opinion, of throwing good money after bad. You clearly don't have much prospect of getting the first loan repaid. Interest-free, I might. Man, if I lend you money, the juice is running from the time it leaves my hand, let me tell you. But anyway, you've obviously lost out on that first bit of money, or you're not seeing it anytime soon. Why would you just add to the burden of debt that your buddy owes you? It's a hard no for me, but I was kind of surprised that some of the other guys in our friend group are like, no, you help out because that's what friends do. I want to be a good friend, but that's certainly where I draw the line. Because, though, there seems to be some difference of opinion within our friend group, I thought I would throw it over to you on this one. What's the answer that you would give? You've already loaned some. It hasn't been paid back. A few months later, same deadbeat, I will use that word, comes back and says, I'm in a tight spot. Can you help out? I mean, I might help out in this way. I might send you some, job postings from Indeed or something like that and say, hey, here's an opportunity for you to make a little more money, because making money doesn't mean taking it out of my bank account. But that's just my thought on it. Tell me, and maybe it's not even money. Maybe you've just had an experience where you loaned somebody something and it didn't go well. My colleague, Christine Clark, was telling me this morning when I brought this up, told her it was coming up on the Flipside today. She says, oh, let me tell you about the book that I loaned. And I loaned my book to this person who doesn't take care of it, doesn't use a bookmark. So she folds the book open, and that damages the spine, and I cringe every time. Just use a bookmark. Take good care of my books. And so Christine has never loaned another book to that particular borrower because Christine wants her books taken care of. I feel the same about my money. The lending experience gone wrong. Maybe we can learn from one another on the flip side this morning. 519-570-2545. Star 570 or 1-800-570-5715. Do you loan another book after the first book had its spine all twisted and bent? Do you loan more money when the first bit of money has not been repaid to you? It's an easy no for me. I want to be a good friend. I draw the line there. Let's hear from you. Jack, good morning.
Good morning, Michael. How are you today?
I'm very well, and you?
Super duper like the grocery store. WIBB, Channel 29, Buffalo.
Irv Weinstein in North Tonawanda.
Yeah, and Nick Kilgore. So anyway, it's funny on the borrowing things. Yes, they should respect it while they have it, whether it be a tool or a book or whatever. On the money thing, you just end up losing people in your life, and they're embarrassed that about needing your help, and then they never call you back. They make no effort to repay. I'm talking, considerable amounts of money to several different people. I always say yes, but what I did, like say 2010, my sister asked me for money. I said, well, okay, I'll make you a deal. How much you need? She says $1,500. I said, okay. I'll borrow you $3,000 on the condition you don't ask again until it's paid back. And I was basically cutting it off at the pass. And she never asked again. It's been 15 years. It was a brilliant move. I probably saved a lot.
Did she pay it back?
She did. 2021, she did. It was an interesting thing. I was blown away by it. So I got my $3 back, and she hasn't asked since. So maybe that landed correctly. And it's not about having the money or not having the money. It's like, if someone's in a spot, I'm probably going to help you. Am I an ATM? Absolutely not. I have the same problems everyone else does with different zeros, and that's just life. So, but yeah, no, it's tough. I'm saddened by it. Not the money, the relationships that you lose, people that you were there for when they had nobody else. Like I'm talking, they were discussing, doing harm to themselves. But yeah, no, it's a tough thing to do, to say no, and that's a tough thing to say yes, because you don't usually get the money back and you lose the relationship, which was more important to me in the first place.
Yeah. All right, Jack, appreciate the call and the thoughts on that. Interesting way to head it off the pass, as Jack said. Asked for 15, says I'll give you 3, but don't ask anymore. And then the 3 was also paid back. This is a really interesting perspective from Sean via email to Mike at 570news.com. Never loan a friend money. If they need the money and you gift them the money. End of story. That's very interesting. It never even crossed my mind. Probably because I'm cheap as the day is long. I'm like, loan you the money, but that's my money. What little of it I have, I want to hang on to. Brian is next on the flip side. Morning, Brian.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Good. First-time caller.
Welcome to the show, my friend. I love me some...
Long-time listener.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. I've heard that one before.
Yes!
Welcome aboard.
Good. So I kind of echo the sentiments of the last caller. I had a family member who would always ask me for money. And, I mean, like everybody else, I don't have the money to lend anybody. So they're asking me, they'd pay back, not always within the time frame they said they would. And they asked me for money. I guess it was a little. And I mean, it wasn't a make or break amount of money, but what I decided to do then was just give them, 3 or 4 times the amount they asked. And I said, consider this a gift, but don't ask me for money anymore.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think you're a bigger person than I am, Brian. I'm not sure that I would be able to do that.
Well, and like what you said about the email, if you're going to loan somebody money, especially if it's a family or somebody close, just try to look at it like a gift. And if you do get it back, fantastic. If not, don't do it again.
Yeah, you know what? It's a really good lesson. I appreciate that, Brian. Thanks for being a part of the show today.
Sure, thanks.
All right, good to hear from you. So that's an interesting way. And in both cases, though, the lesson seems to be, and don't do that again. See, this is where my buddy is at, where he has loaned, it has not been repaid, and now the friend is coming back for more. He's like, well, what about the other money that I already loaned you and I've asked you to pay back and you haven't paid it back yet? To me, this is a hard no. But some of our other buddies in the friend circle are like, no, you help out friends. And that's what Sean says. If you can, you do. It's a gift. That's it. End of story. Two quick ones from my perspective on this. One is this buddy of mine, like we're probably the best friends of the group. And we have loaned money back and forth before, kind of as like bridge financing. Hey, listen, I don't want to dip into my line of credit, but I'm short this amount, whatever it happens to be. And so we've done that before in a temporary fashion and not with interest. I was joking before when I said the juice is running the minute it leaves my hand. And it always gets back like in a very short amount of time because we know each other, we trust each other, done. And we only ask for it. We're not asking for it as a gift. We're saying, hey, here's the situation. Don't make me go to the bank. You be my bank right now because you've got some liquid assets, and that's it. The other thing, and this is what Brian reminded me of. So when I started out in radio, and I've joked a lot, but I'm not kidding when I tell you that this is not exactly the most lucrative profession you could ever pursue. And my very first job, I mean, boy, oh boy, when you're starting on the bottom rung of that ladder, bottom line is I was buying my groceries on my credit card because, and looking back, I probably could have done better budgeting, but I'll just leave that aside. I was not doing well financially. Groceries going on the credit card, starting to accumulate some debt. And I went to the bank of mom and dad. And I went to the bank of mom and dad 3 times. And on the 3rd time, my dad said to me, listen, I'm going to help you out again. And I always paid the money back. But he said, I'm going to help you out again. He said, but this is it. This is the end. Like you got to figure stuff out, young man. And by this time I was 20, I don't know, 26, 20, whatever it was. He's like, you could grow up, son, figure it out. Nope, the bank of mom and dad is closed. And that was a good little kick in the pants for me, even though it was over the phone. And then I figured it out. And then I learned. And I'm like, I get this. I can't just rely on the bank of mom and dad. I got to figure this out for myself. Maybe there's a teachable moment in there for the person asking to borrow the money, right? No, I'm not going to do this for you. Or I'm doing it, but this is the last time. You got to figure your stuff out. By the way, here are the job postings I found for you on Indeed. I don't know. My buddy lends another friend money, hasn't been paid back despite multiple reminders. Now that buddy is asking for a second loan. And my buddy's like, do I do it? I say no. What do you say? Take more of your calls on the flip side right after this. It's the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Have you ever had an experience with a loan gone wrong? Not one that you took out, but one that you made to a friend and things didn't exactly work out. Or maybe they did. Maybe we can learn how to make these loans work better. But a buddy of mine has been asked from another buddy for a loan, which is on top of the previous loan my buddy already gave this guy that hasn't been paid back. And my buddy's like, I don't want to do this again. I'm like, of course you don't do this again. But I've spoken to a few others, including those in our friend circle, who say, no, you do this because that's what friends do. Now, Sean sent an email earlier and said, you don't lend a friend money. You give it to them if you can. It's a gift, and that's the end of the story, which I find to be a really interesting perspective and very generous for sure. Let's go back to the phones. Jim, good morning.
Good morning, Mike, Jim, and Cambridge. How are you today?
I am so well, sir. How are you?
Oh, long time no talk.
It has been, Mr. McLeod. It has been.
Yeah, I spent over 50 years in the corporate credit business. And while we're not talking about an individual, some of my customers thought they were individuals. And I used to tell them when they wanted more money, I wouldn't trust my mother with a nickel unless she gave me a promissory note. So I wouldn't trust a friend, to be quite frank with you. I've been stuck too many times.
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
So,
it's good to hear from you, Jim.
Just thought I'd pass that along to you. Nice talking to you, Mike.
Nice talking to you, too. Stay well.
Yeah. You as well.
Thank you. Bye now. It's our good friend Jim McLeod from Cambridge. Years and years and years fighting to be reunited with his wife, Joan, in long-term care. And that has finally worked out. He still fights the good fight, though, on behalf of others who are not in a similar situation. But I wouldn't lend a nickel to my mother without a promissory note. Ron sends an email to Mike at 570news.com. Mike, my theory of loaning money to friends or relatives is don't expect it back. If they're a good friend, they'll pay it back, even if it's $5 a week. You know they are making an effort. If not, no more loans. I do think, I kind of subscribe, and I'm the old guy, I get it, but I do subscribe to that old philosophy of if you want to be sure to lose a friend, loan them money, because it doesn't typically work out all that well. Grant, what do you think? Should my buddy lend his other buddy more money?
No, I've had trouble with a particular family member and another friend, and my family member said, yeah, because he left his debit card somewhere. Could you loan me $100? Did I get it back? Not a chance. And then this other friend, he likes to beg, and I told him before I pick you up, there's no begging. I have change in my car, no more begging. And sure enough, right off the bat, could I have this money? So I let him have it, and then I said, then I didn't speak to him for 6 months, and he really didn't like it. And then I phoned him back, and I explained to him, do you know why I didn't call you for 6 months? No, because I explained to you in great detail in the beginning, no begging. So stop it.
Yeah, so stop it. There you go. The thing is, if somebody is begging for money and they get it, then we've kind of rewarded them for that begging. But you mentioned the debit card. I can't help but think of a friend who used to be a colleague. I'm going to leave his name out to protect the innocent, but I would love it if he just happened to be tuning in today, because he was that guy that and look, I enjoy my wobbly pops too. So every now and again, and so did he. So every now and again, we'd have a couple together, and it was the same thing every time it came to pay the bill. And he's I don't have my wallet. Mike, can you pick this one up for me? Yes, I can. Unnamed former colleague of mine. You got me multiple, but I loved the guy. I loved hanging out with him, so I didn't mind picking up the tab for a couple of extra pops. But same game every time. The first time it happened, I'm like, okay, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And it became kind of a running gag. And then others at the radio station are like, oh yeah, he got you too, hey? Just remember, every time you go out with him, you're paying both bills. I love it. Elias, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Oh, my friend, I'm so happy to hear from you. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. For
Good.
a while, I was not calling you, but I think I was busy. That's why.
That's okay. You're allowed to be busy. That's okay.
But still, I'm not missing my 15 minutes every day.
You're a good man.
That's for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, it happened to me also, a friend of mine. Really, we're not a good friend, but we were working together in the same company for a while. So one day he come to me and say, Elias, I need some money. Can you borrow like $350 to be exact? He said, I'm going to pay you, because he was trying to buy something. Then I say, okay. I gave him the $350 the next day. He told me he was going to pay you soon, but he didn't mention exact time. Are you with me?
I am.
So after a while, he kept silent. He didn't even say anything. Still, we work in the same company. But finally, he come back again. Maybe after like 4 or 5 weeks, he come back to me. He said, Elias, can I borrow a little bit more? I say, what? I say, you didn't pay me the first one. He said, I will pay you. Then I said, if that is the case, This is the only way I can help you. I forgive you whatever I lend you in the beginning, $350. Keep that one as help, but I am not going to give you any more.
I think that's what you got to do. That's what I would do.
That's what I did. I said, keep the one I get. You borrow from me, the $350, and you asking me another amount. I say I can't, but keep the one I gave you, and I forgive you as a gift. Keep that one. That's my help for you.
No, that's good, because obviously he's struggling, right? If he still needs more money.
He needs something. He maybe is struggling. He needs some help, but you cannot give him again another amount of money.
I agree. Elias, it's good to hear from you today. Thanks for calling in.
And one more thing, what happened? Ranger is going up. The other one, Maple Leaf, is going down. 7-7.
Hey, listen, Elias, as long as my Rangers are winning, I don't care about my Maple Leafs anymore. All right, you have a good day, my friend.
You too, buddy.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Rangers are going up. Leafs are going down. The Leafs have lost 8 in a row now. Rangers were on a 7-game winning streak, got snapped last weekend in Windsor. But Rangers back on the ice tomorrow night against the Owen Sound Attack. We're going to get you to the 570 News Center for an update. And then open phone lines for your Talkback Hour. What's on your mind? Bring me some conversation. I've got ears to listen. It's the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Just finish cleaning up your room. Let's see that dust fly with that broom. Get all that garbage out of sight, or you don't go out Friday night.
Don't talk back.
Every day between noon and 1, we open the phone lines to hear from you. It's the Talkback Hour, giving you the chance to weigh in on an issue we discussed earlier today on the show, or anything else that's on your mind. If it's important to you, it's important to us. Maybe you can spark a conversation, be the catalyst for change in your neighborhood. You know the numbers, right? 519-570-2545. Star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. We heard from a first-time caller, Brian, in the last half hour. Yes! And we always love our first-time callers. So if you'd like to make that first-time call, we will happily put you right towards the front of the line and give you the chance to have your say for the first time on this show. Among the things that we have talked about on the show today, e-scooters on our sidewalks and on our trails. What's your experience being with them, good or bad? Most that we heard from were not good experiences at all, and there seems to be an appetite for some kind of regulation around these machines on our sidewalks and on our trails, etc. Cutting down on injuries would be of paramount importance, at least from where I'm sitting. And we also talked with one of our regional councillors about the Charles Street bus terminal, the former terminal in downtown Kitchener, and the phased approach that the region wants to take. And this councillor, I thought he asked some very thoughtful questions at the meeting on Tuesday when regional council discussed the redevelopment of the site. And the feeling is that if the region maintains control of this land as a public good, then it can guide the future development. And for me, and you may have heard me say this yesterday, I really wish in this case the government would kind of get out of the way and let the private sector get their hands in here and see if we can't do something really significant for this community, something that will attract entertainment options for us, maybe something that will attract business travel, visitors from out of town to see the entertainment options that are happening in this particular place, et cetera, et cetera. That's just me. If you want to share a vision that you might have for that site in downtown Kitchener, we're all ears for that as well. Or as I said, anything else that you'd like to bring to the conversation, love to engage in it with you. Sean is going to go first. Farwell's Force member number 165. Good afternoon, Sean.
Good afternoon. I'm honored. I just want to go down a different course here. I understand they're still looking for a new Wyerton Willie.
Well, I mean, the body's barely cold, Sean, but yes, they are looking for a new Wyerton Willie.
You know, I have an idea for them. I understand that the whole thing about was brought to North America by the Pennsylvania Dutch from Germany, where it was celebrated as a Badger Day or Dachstag. Now, I understand the European badger is a whole different kettle of fish from the North American badger. It's, you know, a very calm animal compared with ours. So I was thinking maybe they should take it back to the traditional badger. Don't you think it'd be exciting to see the guy haul an angry badger out of a cage? I'd go see that, wouldn't you?
I would go see it if Old Man Winter was hauling the badger out of the cage. Because then Old Man Winter could be attacked by the badger. I like where you're going with this, Sean.
I think that would be really exciting.
Listen, I'm here for anything that brings a little more excitement into winter. That, of course, was the whole idea of Groundhog Day, right? When the rodent apparently predicts when spring will arrive. But if you look at the calendar, you realize spring, at least in the calendar's view, arrives 6 weeks later anyway. But you want to make it an angry badger? Make it an angry badger. It's interesting, the different takes on that particular story. And I admit my take on it is all based on my fragile ego. But the story being that Wyerton Willie has passed away and they are now beginning the search for a new Wyerton Willie. And as I just said to Sean, I mean, the body's barely cold. But I like to remind my beloved, as she tries to ease my fragile ego, that the minute my time is done on this radio station, they'll probably already have somebody lined up before they even boot my arse out the door. You know, like 15 minutes is up, pal. We're moving on, and we're going to bring in the next Wyerton Willie. We're going to bring in the next angry old guy to be on the radio and talk to people every day from 9 until 1. How quickly we are replaced. It's a humbling message to remember. Even Wyerton Willie. Well, a new search or a search for the new Wyerton Willie will begin in just a few days. Now, when I saw this story yesterday morning, I did a quick Google search, and maybe I should do a longer Google search because I seemed to recall, did it not happen one year? Refresh my memory if I'm mistaken on this, but I don't think I am. I think one year there was a little bit of a scandal, wasn't there? Where Wyerton Willie had actually passed, maybe in the 24 hours or so before the festival. So they kind of fudged it and faked it because Wyerton Willie was already dead and it was too far into the planning of the festival to declare that he was gone and they had to get a new one, whatever the case was. The festival had to go on. So they used a stuffy or some such thing. I don't think I'm mistaken on that, am I? I think Wyerton Willie perished at a very inopportune time previously. And anyway, this time he's gone for real. It's been announced by South Bruce Peninsula, and the search for a new Wyerton Willie is underway, which is just the reminder, at least. So Sean wants us to go in a dangerous / exciting direction. For me, it's a reminder of how replaceable we all are. Stu from Waterloo, I like the way that works. Farwell's Force member number 163 sends me an email to Mike at 570news.com. Mike, the use of the former bus terminal land should be dependent on what the odd and the surrounding land is going to be used for. Easier said than done. This would be the time to add to the Victoria Park entrance if needed. It should not be residential in any way. It should include a 5,000-seat concert venue designed specifically for music. I bartend at Center in the Square, which is 2,000 seats. The odd would be in the 5,000 range, but it's an old barn with terrible sound and creature comforts. Tie in a conference center and casino. Good for the economy and not the negative impact that is always associated with a casino. Brantford, London, Elora are all examples of a casino close to the downtown. Good for the hospitality industry and creating some vibrancy for the downtown overall. That from Stu, Farwell's Force member number 163 in Waterloo. Couple of things jump out at me from that. One is what we do with the Charles Street, the former, I have to keep remembering to say that, the former bus terminal on Charles Street, should depend on what the odd and the surrounding land is going to be used for. I think that's an interesting point. Well, you just consider, honest to goodness, like there's a ton of space where the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium currently exists. Parking lots galore. The former Centennial Stadium is basically just land now. And then you've got Jack Couch Park there where the Kitchener Panthers play. But here's one of the things that caught my attention as we were going through this process and I started to envision something big and kind of spectacular down on Charles Street. We put the last edition on the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium in 2012. Okay, that's when the renovation was done to add another 1,000 seats, those blue seats that you see at the Odd now. And the work was done in 2012, but the planning for it began in and around 2010. And originally, if you didn't remember the story, the Kitchener Rangers came to Kitchener Council with a plan for a new, larger arena. And the price tag on it was going to be about $70 million, give or take a couple million, but in the $70 million range. I know me saying just give or take a couple million. But that was the proposal at the time, in and around 2009, 2010. And as soon as the Rangers, they were driving this bus, and as soon as they brought this forward, it got people talking, and it got various stakeholders, to use the corporate buzzword, interested in what this new facility could also house, like conference space, etc. So the next thing you know, this stakeholder adds this element to the design, this stakeholder adds this element to the design, and another stakeholder adds yet another element to the design, and all of a sudden, you're up to a price tag of about $130 million. So you've almost doubled it. The Rangers were saying, here's about a $70 million plan for a hockey arena. Other people get their fingers into the pie. We've got a $130 million project that will be sports, entertainment, conference, you name it. But $130 million in 2010. That, as they say, is a spicy meatball, huh? So what happens? We all get nervous. We can't do that. So we're going to do option B. We're going to put the Band-Aid on the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium as it is today, and we're going to put those 1,000 seats in. We're going to expand as much as we possibly can on the existing footprint. We're going to do that for less than $10 million. And then, this is where it gets most interesting to me, and then we say, we're going to do this now. We're going to put this Band-Aid on. We're going to get the more seats because we know we can fill them now. And this will buy us the time that we need in the next 10 or 15 years to get the new arena plan in place. Do you remember the timeline I gave you when this all came forward, 2009, 2010? So what year is it now? Oh, it's 2026? So it's 15 years after we first said putting on the Band-Aid, expanding now will give us the 10 to 15 years we need to plan the next thing. Where's the next thing? Can I ask that? Can I have 2 liters of pop? I got a question for you. Where's the next thing? We gave you the 10 to 15 years. We did the expansion back in 2012. You said you needed 10 to 15 years. Where's the plan? Where did it go? And by the way, the $130 million in 2010, I mean, just imagine what we're talking about price-wise now. Anyway, I've always been curious about that. Where did the plan go? Because I can tell you, I have a feeling, in fact, I think I have it on relatively good authority, that the plan or the idea still exists in a 10-year capital forecast somewhere in Kitchener. But ain't nobody talking about actually moving forward with implementation. Nobody's actually bringing forward a rendering, a proposal, anything. And we've already given you the 10 to 15 years. What the what? Kitchener? What the what? Anyway, that's point one from Stu's email. The other one is his suggestion that we tie in a conference center and a casino. Do you remember the casino debate back in the day. Bingaman's was going to bring a casino onto its property out there on Victoria Street. And I will be right up front with you. I was one of those voices who was very much opposed to the idea. I think I'm less opposed today than I was. But there's a lot. I don't remember the timelines. I'm going off the top of my head. But nonetheless, it was in my time at this station. So back to like my full time, because I started here first time in like 99. Anyway, 07 or so. So sometime in the last 18, 19 years, Bingaman's was proposing a casino on their property out there on Victoria Street. Didn't fly. It didn't fly. But my buddies and I would joke about like a Vegas-style strip down King Street in Kitchener. And can you imagine that? This is the city. Like, we are so small C conservative around here, it's not even funny. It's the city that found out that the old Lyric movie theater was going to be turned into a pornographic movie house. So it bought the entire block. No, we can't let pornographic movies be shown at the Lyric movie theater, that beautiful downtown theater. So they buy up all of Center Block, as it was called, which sat empty for like a decade or more. We got it sorted out down there. But, did I go on a tangent or what? Anyway, where's the plan that you said you were going to start 10 to 15 years ago to be ready for today? Like, this is when the plan's supposed to be here. It ain't. And do you remember when there was a proposal for a casino in Kitchener? Stu thinks we got to bring that back. This tangent brought to you by Talkback on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. I think they thought we would forget. I truly think that's the case. Like, I remember being in Kitchener City Council chambers when they talked about the expansion of the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium and the 10 to 15 year window. I'm like an elephant. I remember stuff like that. I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning, but I remember stuff like that. Back to the phones here on Talkback. Kyle, good afternoon.
Well, you know my position on convention centers as the team that my favorite ECHL team that I got to see growing up played at the Tulsa Convention Center, and it was a great little arena that they had, but they also hosted like dance and all that stuff. So hockey, baseball, or not baseball, but arena football and such. But they also did a bunch of business events, and it was a great place that everybody met up with. So I moved back to Canada. I didn't understand why we don't have convention centers everywhere. But that's not the reason why I'm calling. The reason why I'm calling is you were talking about electric scooters this morning, and you know that I am a electric scooter holder, and I have no problem with a couple of things that people mentioned, but if we're going to do insurance or all that, I want it on bicycles as well, and not just like electric bicycles. I want on pedal bicycles. If we're going to be all treated, I want to be treated equally, and I've seen a lot of jack wagons on a bicycle come up behind me when I'm walking and not ring your bell, and the next thing you know, I turn around, they're flying by. And, you know, I've seen them collide with people and stuff. So I think if we're going to do this, license everybody, license pedal bikes, license electric scooters. And I've driven my electric scooter in Waterloo region when I've taken it down to go for, for summer drives and stuff. So I get it. And I understand that there are jack wagons on there, but that's the way I look at it is, I don't care if you're 5 years old or 85 years old, you're going to get a license, you're going to be insured. Because if we're all going to be going on these types of vehicles on tracks or on, different areas to bike, whether it's a trail or off the sidewalk or onto the street, everybody should be insured. And in that way, there's no complaints whatsoever. Thanks, Mike.
All right, Kyle, appreciate it. I won't dismiss the idea out of hand. If you're going to be using the road, carry some level of liability insurance to protect yourself and to protect others. Don't hate the idea. Grumpy Phil, good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon, my friend. What another great day to be living in Kitchener-Waterloo, and aside from other places in the world where it's just mayhem. So glad for where I live, my friend. So glad. First thing, you were talking about not loaning money to friends. Let's go back to WKRP. Could you imagine Dr. Johnny Fever needing rent money and Venus saying no?
How could he? They were best buddies.
Those were the glory days of radio where everybody had each other's back, Even the FM people were easy to get along with back then. Quick question for you. I was on Ira Needles today, just north of you. I waved, but you didn't wave back through the window. I was a little hurt.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. I was watching for you, too.
That pilot, this is the thing about pilot projects, just north of you at Herbs Road, Has that pilot project ever gone ahead with the flashing overhead lights? Remember the roundabout? They had like 3 projects at the intersections, lanes. Have those lights ever been used? They're still covered in plastic.
The last time I was by, I have not seen them in use. No,
I've yet to see them in use. And for me, we've had pilot projects for different things, and I keep saying, hasn't this stuff been done before? Like when I was a kid growing up in Guelph on York Road, right across from Fiberglass Canada, we had an overhead light to activate to get to school, and that was the original Highway 7. There was no. You had to take that road to get to Gordon Street because Gordon Street was still a Highway 6, so we had tractor trailers going by there all the time. Stuff that worked for decades. Why do we have to have pilot projects for something that was done 50 years ago and worked? People around the world have been building roundabouts for decades in Europe, building bridges for centuries. I mean, the Romans could build roads and bridges. Why do we always have to have pilot projects and it never really give us any answers? That's my rant for the day. And once again, sure glad I live in Kitchener-Waterloo, my friend. What a great place to live.
All right, Phil, a.k.a. Grumpy Phil. Appreciate the call and the thoughts. That pilot project and roundabouts for pedestrian safety made me think of something I've been meaning to bring up with regard to speed cameras. So I'll get to it right after this update from the 570 News Center. And I'm also going to get to the very bad word that was used by one of our regional councillors at a meeting just yesterday. If you had used this word 20 years ago, you would have been stared at with daggers. But this new regional councillor had the guts to say it in council chambers yesterday. I'll share both of those things coming up, and your calls welcome on Talkback. It's the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Thanks to Brian and Margaret in beautiful Bruce County for the email to Mike at 570news.com. Leave it to somebody in Bruce County to know the answer to that question of whether or not Wiarton Willie has died before. That's how we started Talkback today with Sean reminding us, and he thinks we should get a badger, an angry badger to lift out of a hole and get some excitement into Groundhog Day. I take the story because the search is already underway for another Wiarton Willie. I take the story to remind us of how replaceable we all are because Wiarton Willie just passed on the weekend and already the search is underway for a new Wiarton Willie. But Brian and Margaret in Bruce County say the 2021 prediction was done by the mayor's hat as that albino groundhog had died just before prediction day. Something told me there was another time, and I thought it was I don't think they told us in advance, did they? Anyway, blah, blah. Wiarton Willie has passed before, and I suspect he will pass again. Okay, 2 things I wanted to get to real quick is the first one on speed cameras. I was thinking about this while Rosie the pandemic pup and I were out for our walk the other afternoon. And I go past a street that's got one of those signs that shows you how fast you're going, which I think are pretty effective tools to remind us to ease up on that gas pedal. But speed cameras were all about safety, right? Like, somebody think of the children? Oh my goodness, the children! Oh, the humanity! It's just the word. Oh my gosh, it's dangerous. Oh my gosh, we need some speed cameras because you can't walk on the streets. It's just not safe. It's not safe. This is a safety issue. And in almost a year of operation, about 90,000 tickets were handed out by speed cameras. 90,000 menacing drivers who put everybody's life at risk by driving the way that they drove. We caught 90,000 of those menaces to make our roads safer. The cameras were uninstalled or decommissioned in November. I'm going to count on my fingers here. December is 1 month, January 2 months, February 3 months, March 4 months. In the 4 months since the speed cameras caught all of those menacing, dangerous drivers, how many poor, innocent children have been killed by those menacing vehicles and their drivers? I'm just curious. Rosie and I were wondering, we would walk the other day, where's the carnage on the streets? Oh my goodness, won't somebody think of the children? I know a cash grab when I see one, pal. And I saw one. Okay. I'll get to that bad word that I heard a regional councillor use the other day, but Tom is on the phone with us here for Talkback. Hello, Tom.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, yep.
It was good to install those cameras.
No, it was not. Stop that.
No. Just listen.
Okay.
But they hid them so people can drive and get ticketed.
No,
So
they put up big signs. They put up big signs, told you where they were.
Nobody ever saw them.
Well, that's Tom. If you can't see the sign on the road, then I'm really worried about you being behind the wheel.
No.
No.
I've been a good driver.
Okay.
My call is about the Leafs.
Why? Why do you want to do this to me, Tom?
Well, because we should fire. I mean, it's my team since '67.
Okay.
We should fire everybody from the ice makers, janitors, and everybody, and just let the team play. Hire somebody that hasn't seen skates, hasn't seen hockey sticks, and let him run the place. Because so far, we had every expert try to do it, and all they did is just destroy the team. I just like to watch them play. I mean, I don't care if they win anything or not. We have good kids. Let them play. So don't coach them. Get rid of the GMs, the presidents, and get rid of the coaches. Just let them play.
All right, Tom. How about a player coach then, like Reggie Dunlop, played by Paul Newman in the movie Slapshot? That's all right. Make Austin Matthews the captain and the player coach, and we'll just let them play, as Tom suggests we should. I have a difficult time. Listen, I'll get behind the idea. I'm sorry, but the coach has got to go. Some of the things that he's been saying about, I can't give these guys heart. I can only do this. I can only do that. Craig Berube, thanks for your effort, and we'll show you the way out, and you'll get a nice severance package, and that's it. As for firing everybody else associated with the club, I don't know how I can endorse that necessarily, Tom, because in case you'd forgotten, the parent company of this radio station just so happens to be Rogers, and it is Rogers now that owns MLSE. So I don't know how many of my friends and or colleagues would be on the receiving end of one of those pink slips if you're firing everybody. Oh, my goodness gracious. Anyway, it's a rough go for the Leafs. It's such a rough go for the Leafs right now. And I've been a fan since 1971 when I was born. So Tom says since 67, does that mean he saw the Stanley Cup in 67? Because I have never even seen my team in a Stanley Cup final. I know Wayne Gretzky cheated us out of one, but that's another story. I've never even seen my team in a final in my life. I turned 55 years old this year. What do we do? What am I doing? But I am so disassociated with and disconnected from the team that they were playing the other night, and I didn't even give a second thought to tuning into the game. Not one second thought. Go Rangers, go, is all I can say. I'm glad my Rangers, my Kitchener Rangers, are doing what they're doing because they make life, my hockey life, a whole heck of a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm watching Regional Council yesterday because this is what nerds do, and I'm a nerd, and I'm proud of it, by the way. Come at me anytime you want. I will nerd you to death. But I love me some local council meetings. And I heard something that really caught my attention because I'm old enough to remember a time, I'm going to say give or take 20 years ago, maybe a little bit more, but in and around 20 years ago, if you uttered this word around the regional council horseshoe, I think actual laser beams would have come out of former chair Ken Seeling's eyes and evaporated you on the spot. You don't talk like this in Waterloo region, but a new regional councillor is talking like this. And I'm going to tell you what, too. I kind of dig it. I mean, we've dug ourselves, to continue the analogy, a bit of a hole here. We got to get out somehow. This is what Regional Councillor Joe Gowing, who was recently appointed to council, brought up at the committee meeting of Regional Council just yesterday. You'll hear the word. I want you to hear the entire exchange because I think it's important, it's relevant. It'll give you a sense of where we are at with our water problems here. But Councillor Joe Gowing said a word that starts with the letter P that you ought not, at least in the past, have ever brought up at a regional council meeting.
Looking at the capacity issues that we have, and even into 2028, when we start to bring on more capacity within our infrastructure, it seems we're still not going to have enough. we're still not going to have enough water, because I know that once we start to develop and grow, populations are going to continue to grow. So there's going to be still more demand at that point. I'm going to throw it out there. Have we considered, even because after doing all my research, talking with retired counselors that sat around this table years ago, and have we looked at the feasibility of having a pipeline?
Did you hear that? He was even hesitant. I'm just going to throw it out. Have we looked at the feasibility of having a pipeline? There was a time you daren't say that at regional council, but Councillor Joe Gowing just did. Is there any feasibility in having a pipeline? Let's pick up the conversation.
Of having a pipeline.
So we do have the ongoing work for the water supply strategy update, where we're looking at a range of possible options for the community. This includes new groundwater supply sources. It includes water reuse. It includes things like a potential Lake Erie connection. So it is being reviewed right now as part of that project in terms of expediting it or the potential for bringing it forward. It's something that could potentially be discussed. However, it does take time for something like that to be implemented, and currently the estimates are about 20 years would be a pretty aggressive timeline for the amount of planning and construction that would need to happen for that. But that being said, given our circumstances, if there's further discussion around that, then that would be considered into the water supply strategy update ongoing work.
So looking at that, and it's unfortunate that this information wasn't available back 20 years when they started talking about it, because it would be online now. So my question to everyone is, should we be looking at a pipeline reserve like we did with the ION, just to make sure that we are ready if, in fact, this is the way we need to go? Because we shouldn't be reactive, we need to be proactive. And I've said this many times, I don't like to react to things. So is that something that we should be looking at?
I think, to rephrase what Nicole was saying, I think the water supply strategy will tell us next year what is the right phrasing for that. What I understand from Nicole and the team is we have 15 to 20 years with the appropriate infrastructure investments, a lot of them that were identified in the preliminary list in January. With all these investments, we have 15 to 20 years of capacity based on growth trends. We know pipeline is a long-term investment. I think the water supply strategy update will be a really important moment next year to be able to tell us, should we start engaging investing in this with the appropriate partners and build that long-term project. That will come next year. But for now, we do have 15 to 20 years of capacity to support growth, assuming we do all the infrastructure investments that are required to be able to access, treat, and distribute that water.
So if we have capacity for the next 15 years, it takes 20 years to build a pipeline. If that's the case, I think we should be looking at that now, so that we're not in this space 15 years from now, and then it's an additional 20. And just throw that out there.
You should throw that out there, Councillor Gowing. Good job by you. Foul language at Regional Council. There was a time one ought not utter the word pipeline, but Councillor Joe Gowing just did. And I'm sorry, but I couldn't help in listening to that, thinking back on what we were talking about earlier this hour with an arena. 10 to 15 years, that's what we were buying ourselves when we expanded the current Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. And here we are 10 to 15 years later. Well, 15, bluntly, by math. Over 15. We're into a 16th year since we bought ourselves that much time, and we have not done a damn thing. So now we got 15, 20 years of water supply, and we're going to get an update next year, and that's what it's going to tell us. And Joe Gowing's like, yeah, okay, well then when do we start planning for 15 to 20 years from now? Because the best time to do that would probably be now if it's going to take 20 years to build a pipeline. Like, we used to build big things. We used to have bold ideas in this town. We built an expressway. We created a world-class university out of nothing but farmland in Northwest Waterloo. We built the fourth largest hockey and entertainment facility in all of Ontario 75 years ago. What are we doing today? And all we're doing here with this, it's not even a sexy project. It's a pipeline. We don't build nothing. Paralysis by analysis around here. We're so cautious and so conservative. And I'm so going to take a call from Jesse now. Good afternoon, Jesse.
Good afternoon, Mike. I wanted to go back to the Wyerton Willie thing.
Sure.
Because I seem to recall back in the nigh on years of my teenagehood in the late 90s, there was a group of prospective Wyerton Willies that were hanging out, and one of them decided to take out the competition.
Wait, what? Like it was like a Wyerton Willie beauty pageant?
No, it was worse. It was a Wyerton Willie killing spree.
Like, you mean, so like we put the Wyerton Willies in a ring like cockfighting and let them go at it?
I think they were just chilling in there, and one decided that he was the one.
I kind of dig it, Jesse. I'm going to have to do some more Googling and see if I can come up with that one.
Well, I wish you luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Even if it's not true, what a great story. It's time to find a new Wyerton Willie. Here are the 4 prospects. And then one of the prospects says, yeah, hang on, I got this, and wipes out the other. I don't want no competition. I want to be Wyerton Willie. This is the Mike Farwell Show. It's your Talkback Hour. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. I can neither confirm nor deny Jesse's piece of folklore a moment ago that there once, in the late 1990s, was a contest to choose the next Wyerton Willie, and one of said contestants ousted, like literally killed, another contestant in that race. However, what I have stumbled across, going back to 2019, so 20 years after Jesse seems to remember it, is a contest being held by the town of South Bruce Peninsula to find an understudy for Wyerton Willie. And they were offering $1,000 for anyone with information on an albino groundhog. They put out a wanted poster, wanted alive, one fat, furry groundhog, must be albino colored. Wyerton Willie needs an understudy. $1,000 reward. But that's all I can find so far. I mean, I only had a couple of minutes to Google, and I'm not the best Googler these days. Nonetheless, the search is on for a new Wyerton Willie. Maybe they should find 2 this time and have the understudy handy for... If I can go back to another WKRP reference, Phil, when he called earlier, made a reference to the old TV show, and they had a history at this radio station of firing their boss, the program director. So the program director gets fired in this particular scene, and a new guy gets hired right on the spot. Herb, you can be the next program director. And another employee says, hey, what about me? Why don't I get picked? Oh, you can be program director when we fire Herb. You see, it's just a continuing line of Wyerton Willies. Anyway, it's a continuing line of phone calls on Talkback, and Grant is with us. Hello, Grant.
Yeah, about this entertainment facility, is that post office?
I say demolish the post office, Grant. I know that's bold. I want the post office gone. It's ugly. And I once got hit by a car in front of that post office, so bad vibes.
Is it still, is it in business?
Oh, gosh, no. Last time I checked, it was being used as some sort of little arts hub. And again, I love the arts. We can find another place for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see? You just got to think outside the box, Grant. Work with me here, buddy.
And then the King Center, is there any stores in that place at all? Or
stores? No? King Center became Manulife, Grant, and now Manulife isn't there. So the King Center, to the best of my knowledge, at this very moment, is empty. You can go in there and find Great Caesar's ghost if you want to.
Really? It's empty and they let it go so long? What? Yeah.
Yeah. See, Grant, this is what we need. Actually, I guess, in fairness, at King Center, it would be the ghost of Robinson's, right? That was the anchor tenant. We had Robinson's in there. We had Eaton's in Market Square, if memory serves, regardless. I think there's potential in that building, too. Would Manulife want to divest itself of this real estate holding? I don't know. All I'm saying is this, and I do acknowledge that it's easier here than in there. as in inside the council chamber, around that horseshoe. But somebody's just got to, like, pretend that I could actually be a football quarterback. I know, like, I'm 5'0" and fat, but let's pretend. I might make it as a kicker in football. I ain't going to be no quarterback. Pretend I'm the quarterback and you're the running back. I am handing you the football. I'm just asking you to take that football into your midsection and hang on to it and take a little run with it and see where it goes. Just have something, I don't know, a little bit more exciting than, we need more affordable housing. And this is the place every place seems to be the place for affordable housing. All we talk about. Or we could do what Waterloo's doing there by Waterloo Public Square. We'll build you another condo. You know what we're good at around here? Condos. You get a condo, and you get a condo, and you get a condo, and then we just got a bunch of condos. And people can live in their condos because there's nothing to do when they go downstairs and leave their condo. You see? I took a quick look at this because we're going to talk about it more on the show tomorrow. But you probably have heard about the Rangers Reach mega jackpot. The final prize, the grand prize, will be awarded tomorrow night at the Kitchener Rangers game. A prize a day being given away. Like, it's crazy. I've had tickets, I've bought lots of tickets. I still haven't won a single prize along the way. But the big jackpot is worth more than $90,000. Like, it might be $100,000 by the time we're on the air talking about it tomorrow. $90,625 right now in the jackpot. Rangers5050.com, the place to go if you want to get a ticket. And the place to be for conversation tomorrow morning is right here on 570 News Radio. I'll be back at 9. My name is Mike Farwell. You are a force for good. Bye for now.